Hello, welcome to Shmirchik Fetcher's Corner. You'll experience all the unpleasantness that comes with me. Get ready. Shall we start? Basically, back to the I wonder why is it not going on? Something wrong? Okay, now it's going on. Okay, working. Yeah, so back to the Iraqi gods, right? What do they call them? Mesopotamia, right? So there's a lot going on with these gods, right? So we have to speak about this. All right, so where were we? I just got back with my dog Raspberry. We went outside for a walk, and I hung out. I met a nice girl who I've met before. And it's funny because last time she came, she flies in and out of Israel, you know, put this way, and she's like very, how do you say, she's very nerdy in a way where she's very into like computer science and math stuff and coding, and so it's very interesting because she's very much a geek. And she reads like classical books like Trotsky and all this other stuff, all that other jazz. And so I was talking to her. It was nice. And then I saw I had her number ready on my phone because we had met another time. So then, you know, I think I whatever, it was uncomfortable. I sent her a message about dogs, whatever, a while back. I'm not sure why. Yeah, but anyway, today's my birthday, 27th of July, and that's why that's why I look like a lion, because I'm a Leo, and right? So today's my birthday, my English birthday. My Hebrew birthday is, I'm actually not sure. My English birthday, I think it's on the 30th, yeah. So, happy birthday to me. I'm 35 officially today. And yeah, that's that, right? So, we have to continue on talking about the great gods of the Mesopotamian gods. So, we'll continue on where we were talking about the younger gods, right? There was the origins of a god. There is the Marduk god, right? And so it's all about that. That's what we're talking about. And I'm trying to understand exactly, you know, factually what went on there, right? Because I'm trying to figure out what went on there because, okay, let's go to the Wikipedia. Maybe it'll make it a little clearer to us, right? So it's interesting because, as we said in the other video, that this is actually this god was actually written in the Bible, right? It was written about in the Bible, right? In the Torah, in the Old Testament, right? The oldest book out there. So here comes my pizza. Okay, time to eat pizza. Right? Time to drink pizza. Not drink, eat. I was wondering why am I in such a bad mood today? You know, today's been a very hard day for me somehow, and I realized it's because my birthday. It's my birthday. Can you imagine? I realized the reason why I'm having such a hard time. It's because it's my birthday. And when it's your birthday and you're 1 year older, you know, it's not the funnest thing Right, so here's my pizza. Like, I did what Sargonabaka said. I took his idea and I made it reality. So, like, on Thursday I went shopping and I bought bread, and so now I'm eating pizza every day. I don't know if it's healthy for me, but we'll see how it goes. So, okay, this is a Babylonian god, right? It's called Marduk. And it's a god from ancient Mesopotamia in Iraq, a patron deity of the city of Babylon who eventually rose to power in the first millennium BC in the city of Babylon. Marduk was worshipped in the temple of Aser-Gela. His symbol is the spade, and he is associated with Mushusu. By the first millennium BC, Marduk had become astrologically associated with the planet Jupiter. Oh, he was a prominent figure in Babylonian cosmology, especially in the Enuma Elish creation myth. What? That's pretty. Right? Who's this? Oh, that girl, the singer. Okay, let's see who's this that wants to send me a message. Right? Let's see who this is. If he's a freak or what? Let's see. So there's no real pictures of him. He has pictures of his kids, right? And that's that. Oh, actually, he's not such a freak. He's cute. He does wood stuff. He does woodworking. Say hi. He's cute. Okay, let's say hi to him. Hi. Yehuda. They don't like me usually when they get to know me. Do you know English? Do you know English? Okay. Fine. That's that. So, okay, continuing on. So, he is associated with Mushusu. Who's Mushusu? Mushusu is... No. Rude. Mushusu is a creature from ancient Mesopotamian mythology, a mythological hybrid. It is a scaly animal with hind legs, resembling the talons of an eagle, lion, like forelimbs, and a long neck. It's a different god, right? So, the name Marduk was solely spelled Amarutu in the Old Babylonian period. Although, other spellings such as Mes and Sazu were also in use since the Kassite period. In the first millennium BC, the ideograms Su and Ku were regularly used. The logogram of Adad, for Adad, is also occasionally used to spell Marduk. Okay. Texts from Old Babylonian period support the pronunciation of Marutu or Marutuk, with a shortened spelling Martuk or Marduk, attested starting from the Kassite period. His name in Hebrew, Merodach, supports the longer version, and first millennium Assyrian and Babylonian texts employ the long spelling when the circumstances call for the precise form of the name. The personal name Martuku is not to be confused with the god Marduk. Marduk was commonly called Bel Lord in the first millennium BC. The etymology by the name Marduk is generally understood to be derived from whatever. It's a lot of names. The way you can figure out how to talk to these people about this person, this deity, this god, right? He is a son of the gods. Radiant is he. While the name may suggest a relationship with Shamash, Marduk has no genealogy with the sun god. Exactly. However, Babylon was closely associated with the city of Sipar in this period, which may have been the reason for the name. What's Separ? Let's go see what the Separ city is. Separ was an ancient, near Eastern Sumerian and later Babylonian city in the east bank of the Euphrates River. Its tell is located at the site of the modern Tel Abu Haba, near Yusufia in Iraq's Baghdad. Okay, so history, right? So I'm still trying to understand, like, how did this mythical being, right? Oh, Adam Elfenbein is a German Nazi incel, by the way. Hi, Dieter Beer Holland. Yeah, I know. It's obvious. A loser that can't find anybody, you know? He hates, he's such a loser that he hates Jews, but he'll go with the Jewish woman. If he thinks he can get with a Jewish woman, he'll go with her, even though he hates Jews. Isn't that wild? Right? So, Marduk, along with the city of Babylon, was unimportant and sparsely attested in the 3rd millennium BC. The earliest mention to Marduk comes from a fragmentary inscription, most likely dating to the early Dynasty II period. It is left by an unarmed ruler of the city of Bar-Kibar, like Babylon, who constructed a temple for Marduk. A text from the Pharaoh period seems to mention Marduk without the divine determinative, and a fragment of Godless from the Abu Salabik contains Utu Amar, likely Marduk written with reserved sign order. Right? So then it goes on to talk about how, you know, it's barely mentioned, and it's here, and it's there, and, you know, so I want to know about, like, whatever, you know, like, right? So, okay. Under Sumu La El, Marduk appears in oaths and several year names, namely year name 22, which recorded fashioning a throne for Marduk, and year name 24, so each year has a name, which recorded making a statue of for Zarpanetum. Zarpanetum was a Mesopotamian goddess regarded as the spouse of Marduk. Not much is known about her character, though late sources indicate that she was associated with pregnancy and that she could be assigned similar roles as her husband. So I feel like a lot of the people, you know, that they, like a lot of like tarot readers, for example, they will get cards that represent a certain god or goddess, and, you know, according to the card they pull, they will say the meaning of what they think will happen, you know, in the future or something like that, right? So, oh, yummy. Marduk also starts to appear in theophoric names, which would be more frequent in the following decades, but would remain rare. What is theophoric names? What does that mean? Right, so I don't understand this. Okay, so my stream is not going as I intended it because I'm just like all over the place. You know what I mean? Right? Okay, second dynasty of Isin. By the time Isin, okay, so then it talks about the dynasties of the gods. I'm not sure if I'm interested in this. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so the original role of Marduk, right? What was his job? What was his role? What was he seen as, right? In his time. My question is, like, was this an actual person that was made into a deity, or is this just a god that people just made up, you know, like a myth? You know what I mean? Like, because, you know, like Jesus, they made him into a god, right? An idol is a god, right? So, like, that's what I want to know. Since sources pertaining to Marduk in the early periods are sparse, Marduk's original role is unknown. However, since Marduk appeared in the Abu Salabic list behind 3 major deities, whose name points to a possible connection with the underworld, Johandi suggests that Marduk may have been a minor god connected to the underworld. Similarly, Oshima recently proposed that Marduk may have originally had a role similar to Nergal, which may even explain why the logogram Amarutu is used in Hittite texts. To write the name of the god Santa, who was similar in nature to Nergal. In the early forerunners to the Udug-hul, where both Marduk and Asaluhi appear together in a passage, Marduk, in contrast to Asaluhi, does not help the victim, but instead captures him. So one god goes and captures the victim, and one god helps the victim. Either because of his powerlessness or because he refused to help, Oshima interpreted the passage as supporting the idea that Marduk's original role was illness and death. It sounds a little bit like an angel, you know, because, like, you know, in Judaism, there's this idea, right, that each angel has they're messengers, right? They're just on a mission, and right? So, like, according to Judaism, right, an angel comes to help the person. Or there's, like, the angel of death. The angel of death comes to take a person's soul, right? To cause death, right? And so, was it, like, the god's some sort of angel? Is it like angels that they just call gods, right? Like, I think that's the idea of, like, gods, you know, because according to a lot of historians and Jewish philosophers, right, and according to Judaism also, there are those who in the old days, the reason why they would serve a lot of gods, you know, they would have the god of this and the god of that, is because they understood there was one god, but their philosophy was that God doesn't care about us. He puts other gods to take care of us. Like, so the goddess of the wind, and the goddess of the water, and the goddess of this, and the goddess of that. So you go and you bring offerings to manipulate the gods, so that they find favor. You find favor, you know, in the God's eyes, and that God will give you what you need. But Judaism believes that, like, you can't really manipulate a god. You can't find favor in another god's eye. Like, you can't find favor in the servant. You know, the angel doesn't have any power of free will, right? So these gods don't really have free will. If we're gonna say it's an angel, right? But they call it a god, you know. So we'll continue in a minute. I just need to wash my hands and we'll get into it, right? Okay, now I'm satiated. I had my food. Now we can get really into it, right? Sometimes I come on the computer when I'm not even ready to actually learn anything, because I feel like I'll just never get to it, you know, if I don't just plunge into it, right? Like, plunge, right? Okay, so let me clean my desk. Some food. And now we can get really into it and do some real research and real stuff. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Since sources pertain to Marduk in the early periods of Sparse. Okay, so where were we? Somebody refused to help, one god refused to help, or Marduk refused to help. Oshima interpreted the passage as supporting the idea that Marduk's original role was illness and death. Similarly, in Sin Idi Nam's prayer to Nisina Asaluhi, see, there's different there's different goddesses, right? And there's different prayers. Here identified with Marduk imposing an evil spell on Sin Idinam, the king of Larsa, causing him to become sick, may reflect that Marduk's power to cause illness extended beyond the dominion of Babylon. However, Sommerfeld, who previously believed that there was little evidence for Marduk being related to magic, more recently suggested that Marduk was originally a god of incantations before his syncretism with Asaluhi, so he became synchronized with a different god. Jacobson suggests that Marduk was originally a storm god due to the storm imageries in the Enuma. Elish wielded the four winds and storms as weapons and assigned to himself the rain and clouds that came from Tiamat's corpse. Who was Tiamat? What? Tiamat's corpse? Who is this? See, it's very... I'm not understanding. Like, is this mythical? Like, I don't get it. Right? Turn this off. Tiamat corpse. What happened to Tiamat's body? According to Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic, she was eventually destroyed by the god Marduk, who split her body in half. The top part of her body became the sky, and the bottom part became the earth, and her tears created the Tigris and Euphrates River. Seriously? That's what they believe. Hi, John W. I'm very flattered. Okay, so listen, we have to get through this because this is part of learning, even if it's unpleasant and it's boring. So try to understand this. It's very important. Schwemmer points to Ninurta, who's not a storm god, as the original model for Marduk, using storms, winds, and floods as weapons. Schwemmer also... Wait, okay, so we discussed about the corpse, right? So the corpse, her body was split in half, became the heavens and the something. Okay, so Tiamat's corpse, Abush, citing Jacobson, also believes that Marduk was a storm god, that he may have been associated with water and vegetation before joining the pantheon of Eridu, as it is probable to suppose that all of Marduk's traits with water as being taken from the circle of Enki. However, there is no evidence suggesting that Marduk was originally a local storm god, and the usage of wind and storm as weapons are not limited to storm gods. Schwemmer points to Ninurta, who is not a storm god. Lord Barley, right? Who is not a storm god, as the original model for Marduk's using storms, winds, and floods as weapons. Schwemmer also summarizes that although Marduk has characteristics that overlap with the storm god profile, it does not mean that Marduk or other gods in similar positions, such as Ninurta, Martu, Telapinu, and Tishpak, are necessarily storm gods. Marduk's symbol, the spade, may point to him originally being a god of agriculture, or more likely as a god of canals, and by extension fertility. Unlike Abuch, Oshima believes that Marduk's association with water came from his association with canals. He is depicted as the supplier of water in prayer to Marduk number 2, dating to the Kassite period, and was praised as the bringer of water from rivers, seasonal floods, and rains to the fields. Various prayers to Marduk refer to his connection with springs and rivers, and Ashurbanipal applies the epithet, the canal inspector of the heavens and earth, to Marduk. Marduk's anger and mercy. So he has wrath, right? He's relentlessly savage in his wrath, right? So, okay, we gotta get through this, you know? We'll get through this. Hi, John W. We're gonna get through this, okay? I'm gonna get through this, at least. Okay, Sin Idinam's prayer to Ninisina shares similar motifs with the prayer to Marduk number 1. So there's two different gods that are, one came before and one came after, right? And Ludlu Bel Nemeki, where Marduk's anger is blamed for some certain ailment affecting the sufferer and can only be remedied by Marduk having mercy and forgiving them. In the prayer to Marduk number 1, Marduk is asked to not kill his client, and in Ludlu, so it's different writings, I'm guessing, Marduk is praised for his mercy after forgiving his client. As such, some scholars claim that Marduk was being praised for his wrath, and others claim that Marduk comes off as having unpredictable mood swings. Lambert also points to one of Marduk's names in the Enuma Elish, savage yet relenting, suggests that Babylonians may have stressed Marduk's mercy so he could be less savage. Although Ashima proposes that the Babylonians had to stress both his wrath and mercy to appease him, others believe that the purpose of the poem was to stress that Marduk's true inner quality was mercy and benevolence. The prayer to Marduk number 2, on the other hand, praises Marduk's power to heal, which may have been as a result of syncretism and asaluhi. So what's syncretism? It's coming together, synchronizing with taluhi, right? So this is what happens when you learn about gods. The gods. The amalgamation or attempt to amalgamation of different religions, cultures, like coming together of different religions, you know, two things merging into one. Ah, okay, I understand. Okay. Connections to the river ordeal. Due to being the son of Ea, Marduk had connections with the river ordeal. Sin Idinam's prayer to Nisina also identified Idlurugu, the river ordeal, as the father of Marduk Asaluhi, in contrast to the standard genealogy. Incantations. So this is different prayers people say. They say it, you know, they speak about it, right? Marduk's features in incantations of the Marduk E-type formula. Incantations, let's go see what it sounds like. What is this? Let's go see what this is. What's this incantations, right? So if we're gonna do this, we're gonna go all in on what this is. Right? There's incantations you can say, right? Just use it. Okay. I'm not gonna find anything. Okay, so continuing on. There's incantations in which the god Ea Enki engages in dialogue with his son Marduk Asaluhi. The structure of the formula starts with the Marduk Asaluhi noticing a problem and reporting it to his father. Ea reassures his son about his knowledge and then proceeds to instruct his son on the procedures. In later incantations from the first millennium BC, the priests usually claim to be direct representations of Marduk Asaluhi. Right, so it's so interesting because the people that are pagan, right, they worship gods, they have a priest, you know, that in between, go between them and the gods, and it's like it's a business, it looks like, you know, like where they, you know, they have to pay the priests and everything, and the priests can, if they want, they can exploit people, I think, right? Okay, so in later incantations from the first millennium BC, the priests usually claim to be direct representations of Marduk Asaluhi, replacing the divine dialogue between father and son. For example, in Marduk's address to the demons, the priest starts by declaring themselves to be Marduk. In Neo-Assyria, Marduk was one of the major gods that incantation prayers were directed at, with only Shamash being invoked more than Marduk. So this is a different god, right? Shamash is known as Utu, was the ancient Mesopotamian sun god. Okay. It is difficult to tell if Marduk originally had a role in incantations prior to being identified with Asaluhi. Marduk sometimes appears in the Sumerian Akkadian bilinguals as the Akkadian name for Asaluhi. Although Marduk and Asaluhi were also attested to appear separately in two different texts, one being the incantation against the evil Udug, where Marduk captured the victim instead of helping it, in contrast to Asaluhi, who sought out Enki, the other being an incantation against Lamashtu that listed Marduk and Asaluhi separately as deterrents to demons. So there's basically a prayer that is supposed to keep demons away, right? Lamashtu in Mesopotamian mythology was a female demon monster, malevolent goddess of demigoddess who menaced women during childbirth and, if possible, kidnapped their children. While they were breastfeeding, she would gnaw on their bones and suck their blood, and was charged with a number of other evil deeds. She was a daughter of the sky god Anu. Lamashtu is depicted as a mythological hybrid with hairy body, a lioness head, and donkey teeth and ears, long fingers and fingernails, and the feet of a bird with sharp talons. She is often shown standing or kneeling on a donkey, nursing a pig and a dog, and holding snakes. She thus bears some functions and resemblance to the demon Lilith in Jewish mythology. Oh, this is her, my friends. Ooh, it's so scary. Yeah, that's a scary demon. Right? You guys, this stuff is scary. We could talk about her after. Hi, official ambassador of the mulatto race. Hi, honey pie. Yeah, that's what my mother calls me. My mother calls me honey pie. Honey pie. Okay. Okay, so they would do incantations against Lamashtu, who's a demon god. A demon that listed Marduk and Asaluhi separately as it turns to the demon. Okay, myths and literature. So let's see what it says about Enuma Elish and all the Marduk, right? That we're talking about, this god of Marduk, right? So, Enuma Elish, generally believed to have been composed in the Isin II period, details Marduk's rise to power as the king of gods. There are similarities between the epic creation of the Anzu myth as well as other traditions related to Ninurta. The Tablet of Destinies is a key object in both myths, and Marduk uses largely the same weapons as Ninurta. The ritual tablets mentioned how the epic of creation would be recited and possibly reenacted during the Akitu festival on the 4th day of the month of Nisanu. Wait, so Akitu sounds like a Japanese dog, right? Let's go see what's the Akitu festival, shall we? Shall we? People actually celebrate this festival. They have this whole, you know, like, they have a whole thing, you know, like, serious stuff. I'm happy for them, you know. Good on them for preserving their traditions, right? Like, if you go to videos, you can see people who do that type of thing. Very nice, right? So, continuing on, right? On the 4th day of the month of Nisanu, the epic starts off by mentioning Apsu and Tiamat. Here's the oldest gods and created a younger generation of the gods. However, Apsu was disturbed by their noisiness and decided to kill them. Ea, however, found out about the plot and kills Apsu and takes his splendor. Later, Marduk was born to Ea and Damkina. Like, to me, it makes no sense. If you're a god, how can anyone kill you? You know? Like, what kind of god are you if you get killed? And already at birth, he was special. Tiamat then decides to wage war against the younger generation of the gods, giving King Gu and Tablet of Destinies and appointing him as the commander. Marduk volunteers to do battle against Tiamat and defeats her. The world was fashioned from Tiamat's corpse. Right, like I said before, where half her body was in the heavens and below, so that she makes water, with Babylon as the center, and Marduk assumes kingship and receives the 50 names. The 50 names taken was based on the Enum god list. The columnar arrangement removed and slotted in. One of his titles, Bel Matati, King of the Lands, originally belonged to Enlil, who was conspicuously missing from the epic, except that he gave this title to Marduk. So it's talking about so many different gods, you know, like, right? Like, it's talking about lots of different gods. So, and it goes on, right? So, myths and literature. So these are like stories about the gods, right? So, also known as the Babylonian Job, the poem describes the narrator's suffering caused by Marduk's anger, causing him to lose his job and to experience hostility from his friends and family. Diviners were incapable of helping him, and his personal protective spirits and gods also did not come to help. He claims that nobody understood the actions of the gods, and despite the narrator's protests of innocence, and that he has always been pious to the gods and never abandoned him, he quickly became ill and was on deathbed. Then, in a series of dreams, he met a young man, an incantation priest that purified him, a young woman with a godlike appearance who came to say that his suffering had ended, and an incantation priest from Babylon. Afterwards, the narrator praises Marduk's mercy, which was the main point of the text, despite the expressions of Marduk's anger. So these are like lots of myths and different stories that like about the gods, right? Which kind of does make sense, you know, like, right? You know, okay, so that girl sent me a message. Yeah, so that's that, right? Okay. Epic of Era. In the Era epic, Era convinced Marduk to leave Esagil and to go to the netherworld, leaving Era to become king. Afterwards, Era wreaks havoc on all the cities and causes instability. Right? Marduk came back and lamented the state of Babylon, unlike the Enuma Elish, which championed Marduk as the bringer of peace and stability. Marduk is here the one who brought instability by leaving his seat, thus bringing darkness upon the world. He also indirectly brought war by yielding Era. I don't understand. So just because he moves out of his seat, suddenly the world is dark and unstable. It kind of reminds me of like what's happening now, you know, with President Trump. The world was more stable when there was no war when he was in office, and then when he got kicked out, all of a sudden, by his vacancy, look what we have today. Right? So he indirectly brought war by yielding to Era. So Donald Trump indirectly, I'm not going to say that because it's not true. He was kicked out. He had no other choice. It wasn't like he had a choice. You know? Like, he was voted out, they say, but there was a lot of, like, when it comes to Donald Trump, there's a lot of, with the voting, you know, it looks like there was a lot of fraud going on, right? And he couldn't prove it in court somehow. So then we have 4 years of hell under Harris and Biden, right? That brought hell to the world. 4 years of hell in America that brought hell to the entire world. Right? And then you have people who are actually going to go vote for Kamala Harris. Can you imagine? Okay. What's the Marduk's ordeal? Written in Assyrian dialect. Versions of the so-called Marduk ordeal text are known from Assur, Nimrod, and Nineveh. Oh, Nimrod and Nineveh. Right. So there's a whole story of Nineveh in the Bible and Nimrod, you know, who sets himself up as God. Or maybe it's a different Nimrod. Maybe he's talking about different, using scenarios and language familiar to the procession of Akitu festival. Here, Marduk is instead being held responsible for crimes committed against Ashur and was subject to a river ordeal and imprisonment. The text opens with Nabu arriving in Babylon, looking for Marduk, his father. Tashmatum prayed to sin on Shamash. Meanwhile, Marduk was being held captive. You see, these are gods and they're being held captive. The color red on his clothes were reinterpreted to be his blood, and the case was brought forward to the god Ashur. The city of Babylon also seemingly rebelled against Marduk, and Nabu learned that Marduk was taken to the river ordeal. Marduk claims that everything was done for the good of the god Ashur, and prays to the gods to let him live. After various alternative cultic commentaries, the Assyrian version of the Enuma Elish were recited, proclaiming Ashur's superiority. However, despite the content, the Marduk ordeal was not simply an anti-Marduk piece of literature. At no point was Marduk actually accused of a crime, and the end of the text seems to suggest that the gods fought to get Marduk out by drilling holes through the door which he was locked behind. Marduk also appeared in the curse section, so it is possible that the majority of the blame was put on the Babylonians for leading Marduk astray. So a god can be led astray? What kind of a god is it? While Marduk retains a position with the pantheon, while most attribute this text to Sennacherib's destruction of Babylon. Oh, so like in those days they all worshipped like Mesopotamia, which is Iraq, right? They all worshipped these different gods, and then they made up stories about the gods not being this and misbehaving, and that's why it causes disasters. Like, this stuff is just so fantastic that I just don't, too much drama, like so much drama, like the gods can't get along, they're killing each other, like what is going on here? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Okay, so Marduk also appeared in the curse section, so it is possible that the majority of the blame was put on the Babylonians for leading Marduk astray. While Marduk retains a position with the pantheon, while most attribute this text to Sennacherib's destruction of Babylon, Frimer Kensky suggests that the background could be the return of Marduk's statue to Babylon in 669 BCE. Okay, so then there's defeats, and it's interesting because they put, like, according to the god of the time, they put the history of what happened at the time, and they blame it on the gods of the time. I think that's what they're doing here. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just ridiculous, because do you get what I'm saying? Like, does it make sense? Does it make sense? Anybody? Known from only one copy and with badly damaged top half, En-Meshara's defeat is likely composed in the Seleucid of Parthian era, structurally similar to the Enuma Elish. The text starts with En-Meshara and his 7 sons going against Marduk, who subsequently defeated them and threw them in jail, with Nergal as the prison warden. The preserved portion starts with Nergal announcing Marduk's judgment to Meshara that he and his sons would all be put to death, and Meshara laments about Marduk's terrible judgment and pleads with Nergal. Nergal replies, but the text breaks off. I think this is actually talking about like the history of real people and that were turned into gods. Could it be? Were the gods real people that were deitized? Were the Babylonian gods real people that were made into a deity? They were worshipped as real gods, I get that, but the thing is, like, did they... was it the real people who became symbols of the gods, Like, right? It talks about, like, mythology and all this, and, Marduk and all that, but it's more complicated than that, right? Okay, so going on, right? So they're putting each other in jail. Nergal is then shown to be escorting En-Meshara and his sons to Marduk, who first beheads the sons. And En-Meshara's radiance was then taken and given to Shamash, who's another god, sun god. Nabu was also given the power of Ninurta. Nergal, those of Era and Marduk took Enlil's power. Marduk, Nabu, and Nergal then shared the throne, which likely previously belonged to Anu. Together, the gods were then assigned their cities, and a voice from heaven could be heard. A fish goat praised Marduk as the exalted lord, and the text ends with the gods gathering at Babylon. Right? So it talks about the gods defeating each other, and right? And then it talks about like different gods and different religions merging in with each other and becoming enmeshed. Right? The earliest evidence of Asaluhi's syncretism with Marduk is Sin Idinam's prayer to Ninis Sina, where Asaluhi was called king of Babylon. An old Babylonian text substitutes son of Eridu for lord of Tinter as a title for Asaluhi, Tinter being another attested name from Babylon. In Hammurabi's prayer to Asaluhi, he is clearly viewed as synonymous with Marduk. However, in a prayer for Samsu Iluna, Marduk and Asaluhi were mentioned as separate gods, suggesting that the syncretism Marduk equals Asaluhi was not yet fully established as canonical in the old Babylonian period. So it's the same person now. They're making Marduk and Asaluhi gods merge with each other and become one. Like the same thing. Right? Johani also suggests that keeping Marduk and Asaluhi separate was a deliberate act on the part of Samsu Iluna to reclaim authority over the southern cities, which were centers of rebellion during the early years of his reign. Was this like real people? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like painting a story about, like, you know, kingdoms where they were all fighting. And then maybe the people that were fighting in the kingdoms, then they became, like, gods. They became deitized. Right? Okay. Summerfield suggested that the syncretism of may have been due to both having a similar role as a god of incantations, or because Asaluhi was more well known in southern Babylonia compared to Marduk, who was still a local god. Lambert also believes the syncretism to be a means to elevate Marduk to a more respectable position. Johandi proposes that Marduk and Asaluhi were identified for some other reason other than magic, and Marduk only became a god associated with magic after being syncretized with Asaluhi. So two different opposing gods coming together and being regarded as the same type of thing. Right? Because like syncretism is when merging. Two forces like merging with each other. Right? My hands like smell like ketchup. I'm gonna wash it. Alright. Oh, who wants to see my beautiful painting? Anyone? Who wants to see my beautiful painting that I did today? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Summerfield suggested that the syncretism may have both been due to both having similar role as a god of incantations, or because Asaluhi was more well known in southern Babylonia compared to Marduk, who is still a local god. It's complicated. Lambert also believes the syncretism to be a means to elevate Marduk to a more respectable position. Johandi proposes that Marduk and Asaluhi were identified for some other reason other than magic, and Marduk only became a god associated with magic after being synchronized with Asaluhi. The syncretism of Babylon and Nippur was in place from the Isin II period, and the name of the city's walls were switched, with Imgur, Enlil, and Nimit Enlil in Babylon, while Imgur, Marduk, and Nimit Marduk were in Nippur. By extension, Marduk was also identified with Enlil, and in the Isin II period, Marduk was attested with Enlil's titles. Marduk was often called the Enlil of the gods in the first millennium. A statue of Marduk, conveniently named King of Gods of Heaven and the Underworld, was placed in Enlil's sanctuary in Babylon, and Marduk received the title Bel Matati, King of the Lands, in the Enuma Elish, Tutu, the previous patron of deity of Borsippa. Although Hammurabi recognized Tutu's dominion as extending over Borsippa and Izida, Tutu became another name for Marduk after Hammurabi, but became a byname for Nabu in the first millennium. Tutu was also a name for Marduk in the Enuma Elish in the bird, call text. The bird of Enmeshara calls that he sinned against Tutu, here meaning Marduk. And here's all the... What is this? Is this like books? What is this? What is this? External links. It's supposed to have like the sources of where they get all their information. Oh, schizophrenia and the problem of suffering in the Littlehannibee to Marduk. Interesting. Right? So this could probably be like a very interesting... It's a book you can buy, and it's probably very interesting things to speak about, you know? And then it ties into schizophrenia and incantations you can say, right, to get rid of it or something, right? Interesting. See, this is why, like, you have to check. If you're doing research, you gotta check the source, right? And then the source, it takes from all the different books, and then you go see where the book is sourced, right? And then it's interesting. Hi, John W. So flattered, you guys. So flattered. Okay, so let's see. Marduk. Let's see if this one explains it a little better. Right? Okay, so it's a goddess and goddesses. Right? Babylon. Okay, so then it talks about how this one's much better, like, because if I talk about how gods pertain to the time, right? This one, it seems much more clear. Do you know what I'm saying? Should we go read about that, about Marduk? We can do that, shall we? Marduk, Babylonian god. Marduk is a Mesopotamian region, Iraq, the chief god of the city of Babylon, and the national god of Babylonia. As such, he was eventually called simply Bel, or Lord. Originally, he seems to have been a god of thunderstorms, a poem known as Enuma Elish and dating from the reign of Nebuchadnezzar I, from 1119 to the year 10? 11, you see, from 1119. Those years? From year to year, I don't get it. It relates Marduk's rise to such preeminence that he was the god of 50 names, each one that of a deity or of a divine attribute. After conquering the monster of primeval chaos, Tiamat, he became lord of the gods of heaven and earth. All nature, including humanity, owed its existence to him. The destiny of kingdoms and subjects was in his hands. Marduk's chief temple at Babylon was the Esagila and the Etemenanki, a ziggurat with a shrine of Marduk on the top. In the Esagila, the poem Enuma Elish was recited every year at the New Year festival. The goddess named most often as the consort of Marduk was Sarpanitu, so it's like they married. Let's see the festival. Here's a festival, New Year's festival. They celebrate and they serve this god, right? So, by all means, enjoy, right? Yeah, so Syrians in Iraq observe Rakitu. So there are people like in Iraq that are not really originally Muslim, they have their own gods and their own kind of, they have their own traditions, Okay, let's go back here. So, yeah, continuing on, right? Yeah. Marduk's chief temples at Babylon were the Esagila and the Atemenanki. A Sigurat with the shrine of Marduk on the top. Right, they recite this thing. Marduk's star was Jupiter, and his sacred animals were horses, dogs, and especially the so-called dragon with forked tongue, representations of which adorn his city's walls. On the oldest monuments, Marduk is represented holding a triangular spade, or hoe, interpreted as an emblem of fertility and vegetation. He is also pictured walking or in his war chariot. Typically, his tunic is adorned with stars. In his hand is a scepter, and he carries a bow, spear, net, or a thunderbolt. Kings of Assyria and Persia also honored Marduk and Zarpanitu in inscriptions and rebuilt many of their temples. Marduk was later known as Bel, a name derived from the Semitic word named Baal, or Lord. Right, so in Israel, like, Baal is husband, right? Bel had all the attributes of Marduk, and his statues and cult were much the same. Babylon, right? Babylon, one of the most famous cities of antiquity. It was the capital of southern Mesopotamia from the early Babylonia, from the early 2nd millennium to the early 1st millennium. I don't know what a millennium is. What's a millennium? Right. I hear millennia, this millennia, that millennia. I don't know what this is. It's a period of 1,000 years. Oh, from the traditional date of the birth of Christ. Or it could be 1,000 years even before that, right? Okay. Millennia to the early 1st millennia BCE, and capital of Neo-Babylonia, Chaldean Empire in the 7th and 6th centuries BCE, when it was at the heights of its splendor. Its extensive ruins on the Euphrates River, about 55 miles south of Baghdad, lie near the modern town of Al-Hila, Iraq. History. Though traces of prehistoric settlement exist, Babylon's development as a major city was late by Mesopotamian standards. No mention of it existed before the 23rd century BCE. After the fall of the 3rd dynasty of Ur, right? So, remember, we said that Abraham, right? So this is how we know about, like, the first man, the first Jewish man, right, who found God, right? His name was Abraham. He comes from Ur, which is Babylonia. It's in Mesopotamia, right? Or Kasdim. And he was born into a family that it was after the Great Flood, and they all worshipped gods. This is what they did. Like, this is what they do. All of them worshipped foreign gods. They worshipped this god and the god of that, and the gods are fighting, and the gods are killing each other, and who's the most powerful god, right? And then he's like recognizing that these gods don't really have much power, and then he searches for the one true invisible God of Israel, and he finds the one true invisible God of Israel, and then he brings monotheism to the world, right? And so he comes from Ur, and the Jews and so-called Muslims, well, Arabs come from Ishmael, right, who was the son of Abraham, right? He was the son of the first Jew, but Abraham married out, right? Not Abraham, Ishmael married out, the son of Abraham. He married an Arab woman, and so that son married out. He married Arabic women, and that's who fathered the Arab nation, right? Not all the Arab nation, but the Arabs existed even before. Right, they were from Arabian people, right, from what I'm understanding, and so then, Abraham, he had his wife Sarai, you know, they had two, you're welcome here in Miami. You can forget about all these Muslim problems. You could use a nice break from it all. Yeah, but I saw like neo-Nazis in Miami attacking Jews, you know, in Miami, strangely. Do you know what I'm saying? But thanks. And when I went to New York, right, in June, right, I was in New York in June, and it was a nice break there, you know. It was nice to be there. It was very calm. It was much needed sort of vacation out of here because, like, in a way, we were in the mountains and it was calm and relaxing, and we went to the farms and there was no worry that Muslims are going to come and stab us to death, or and there was no worry that the sirens would go off and then we'd have to run into a bomb shelter, you know. So it was a much needed vacation because I realized that since October 7, I've lost some sort of, people ask like, how has October 7 impacted you, right? Like since October 7, I feel like I've lost any ounce of happiness that I've ever had is just gone. You know, it's just like, I feel like all the Jewish people, like, it's affected the entire Jewish nation in a way. I mean, not the self-hating Jews, but in a way where, like, the average Jewish person like me, you know, were just, like, traumatized by what we saw and what happened, you know, right next to me, you know, like, an hour away from me. Literally. Like, neo-Nazi Miami, never seen one here. Yeah, I can show you. For fun. I'll show you. Okay, besides for the great gods, right? Jews attacked in Miami, in Florida maybe. Florida by Nazi. Following demonstration, the neo-Nazi charged. Here we go. Let me show you. This guy. These guys. Look at these Nazis. I don't know if you can see. Right here. Following demonstration, 3 neo-Nazis charged in Florida assault. Right? These bad people. Right? Skinheads, they call them. What do? They're charged with hate crime and assault. You know? These loser lunatic Nazis, like, it's pathetic. So pathetic. You know, like, Florida. Where else? See? In Florida. Yeah. They get spit on, kicked, attacked, right? But you know what? For all in all, we have in Florida, you have a great DeSantis. He's really good, you know? Like, he's tough on crime, I hear. So people really, really like that. Right? Yeah. Here we go. 3 neo-Nazis arrested in Florida attack. Woman pushing stroller yells, woman yells, Hitler should have finished you all. Yeah. For the most part, it's probably peaceful, but you have the freaks and the crazies, you know, that do bad things. Yeah, just thought to show you that. Can't escape it, you know, wherever you go. You just can't escape it. I know there are fringe elements, that's true. That's true. That is true, right? So back to Ur, right? The city of Ur, right? Where Nimrod basically in Ur Kasdim, right? Abraham, where he comes from, and his wife is also from Ur. They're both Iraqi, right? Like, both Abraham and his wife Sarai, they were cousins, and they're from Iraq, and they fathered Isaac, right? Yitzchak from the Bible, and then Yitzchak father Jacob, right? And then, you know, Jacob and Esav. Esav and Jacob, twin brothers. And Esav is Edom. He is the Christians. And Yitzchak is the father of the Jews, right? Jacob is the father of the Jews, who was named Israel, and that's why the Jews are named, like, that's why the Jews are named Israel, right? That's why Israel is named Israel. That's why Jews are named from Judea, right? Israelites were called Hebrews. Israel is Hebrews. Ivre, right? Israeli. Ivre. So, which means Hebrew, which means Israel, Hebrew. Is it one word? Right. So now I have to go and see. Is Hebrew and Israel one word? No, it's not. Hebrew is more of an ethnic term. Right, so the Jews in Russia, for example, my father was called Ivre. Right? Israel is it's ethnicity, and it's more religious. Israel is more religious term. Hebrew is ethnic term, so like the Jews are Hebrews, Ivre, right? So, right? Going back. Where are we? I am in Little Havana, 99% Latino. They support Trump and are against Islamic regimes. That's great. Where's Little Havana? Let's go see. Little Havana. It sounds so cute. It sounds Spanish. Havana. It's a Cuban exile neighborhood in the world. It's the best known Cuban exile neighborhood in the world. It is characterized by street life, restaurants, and music. So, like, are you Spanish? Yeah. I didn't know. That's cute. Little Havana. It's so cute. It's by Miami Beach. Aw. That's cute. They have good food. Little Havana, all you need to know before you go. Trip advisory. It's probably a very friendly neighborhood, I would assume, right? You know what I wonder? I wonder if all hell breaks loose in America, right? If 99% Latino, they support Trump, right? So just west of downtown Miami, right? So you live near the Jewish community then, because there's a huge Jewish community in Miami. So basically, you probably see a lot of Jews. Right? Nah, I just love the warm weather and Latinas. Oh, so you're not Latina? Anyway, so what was I saying? Anyway, so what was I saying? What I was saying was that, okay, what I was thinking was, what if all hell goes, if America goes to hell, if all hell breaks loose in America, and if, you know, President Biden or whoever is the next president, say the president, God forbid, Kamala Harris, right? Say Kamala Harris decides to become, like, president, right? Because, you know, she didn't win any votes, but whatever, they're going to put her there. Say Trump loses to Kamala, right? What happens is, right, what's going to happen? All hell can break loose, like California, for example. Crime, drugs, homeless, it's just going to hell, right? So what people can do, if there are proud Americans, what I'm thinking is, they can go to, they can pick themselves up and move to another state. And then the states that are run by, like, Republicans, so for instance, Miami Beach, right? Miami, Florida, the entire Florida, right, could be run by conservative people. They could basically, the states, yeah, plenty of Jews here, especially just north of Miami Beach. Yeah, so I'm thinking that, yeah, I've been to Miami, so I babysat a Jewish family. I'm Jewish, so, as you know. Anyway, so what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say is that if all hell breaks loose, you know, and the states, they are running like in a democratic way, and you have Republicans running it, and you have your own laws in every state, what can happen is the state that is run by the Republicans, for example, they can make their own, break off from the United States, right? Break off into their own entity and make their own army independent of America, you know? And continue the democracy that you have there. And make your own military and make your own army and your own currency. And then you can fight against Kamala Harris. What do you think of that? Like all the states that are like red states, right? Red states is Republican, right? So all the states that are Republican can basically go and break off from America and become their own place, and they can continue their own laws, you know, like tough on crime, good policing. They can go and take all they can take all the immigrants that are illegal and kick them out of the state, put them in democratic states, and have their own border. Every state can have their own border, right? Like their own little country. What do you think of that? Is it just brilliant or what? I think it's just brilliant, I think. Because, you know, like, America doesn't have to fall. Like, the states that are run by Democrats can fall, you know, and Islamic freaks can settle there and try to do Sharia there, but at least people that are not Islamic, because, you know, with the way it's going, right? Islam wants to rule the world, and Kamala Harris wants Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they want, and the left, they want America to be Islamic, and they want to have power over the people. So Harris isn't qualified, just a DEI beneficiary. Exactly. So, like, what I'm saying is that they're going to put her in power, because as you can see, there is no real democracy anymore. So, because the people haven't voted her in. They put her there, right? And they have donors, and nobody voted her in like a primary like they do in the primaries, you know, when in the convention they go and they have debates and then they decide who's going to be elected. So I think what America can do is they can basically, it's a pretty radical, the U.S. should be united. Yeah, but what's going to happen is that if like Kamala Harris takes over, right, and then she lets all the Muslims in from all these countries, and then they decide to do Sharia, and then you have only like the Democrats are trying to run their states and take your kids away from you because, you know, they want to put puberty blockers on the kids and stuff. So what you can do is that any state that is like run by a Republican, they can go to Republican states and run their state as a little country, right? You know, the divided states of America, you know, not united. They could do divided states of America. So then you have divided states of America, and you make your own border, right? So you have your own little airport, you have your own little border, you have your own thing going, and you make your own army, right? And then you can kick the Kamalas out, you know? And don't you think it's a good idea? Like, I guess not, right? Whatever. I thought I was so brilliant. I really thought I was brilliant. Okay, continuing on Babylonia, right? Okay, so as we said, like Ur-Kasdim, right? How do we know what gods are? How do we know what idolatry is? Like, this is an idol. You see this graven image? It's an idol, right? And the kings at the time of Ur-Kasdim, as written in the Bible, right? That's a bit extreme. Nothing like that is about to happen. Are you sure? Are you sure? Okay, so the kings at the times of the Bible, right? Like what's recorded in the Bible about Abraham, how he's from Ur, Kasdim. The kings would set themselves up as God, and they would make people bow to them, right? And the gods, they would go kill each other, and that's how we know what idolatry is from the Bible, because the Bible talks about, and part of history is how people would bow down to the gods and demigods, you know, like a man who's a god, right? Like Nimrod thought he was a demigod, so like everybody has to bow down to him. And Jesus is the same exact thing, you know, like people say that no, it's not, you know, it's not an idol and it's not pagan, but it's 100% the definition of paganism, and that's how we know what paganism is from the Bible, right? So all these people that try to worship Jesus, right? They say Jews should worship Jesus. It's idolatry, you know? It's forbidden. So that's how we know what idolatry is, right? So, yeah, back to my point here, right? So, after the fall of the third dynasty, or under which Babylon, back to the gods, right, had been provincial center, it became the nucleus of a small kingdom established in 1894 BCE by the Amorite king Samuabom, whose successors consolidated its status, the sixth and best known of the Amorite dynasty. These are nations, I think. Hammurabi from 1792 to 50 BCE. Is this before Common Era? BCE? After Christ era? I don't get this, because 1796 is like... What's going on? I think there's police outside. Oh my god, what's going on? I need binoculars. I have a beautiful view. Yeah, I think there's an ambulance. An ambulance and police. Ambulance and police out there. So, right, Raspberry? One second. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I need the bathroom and I'm gonna make myself tea. You ready? Hi, Mommy. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Rabbi. Hi, was I... You guys didn't see me in the bathroom, right? You didn't see me in the bathroom, right? You guys saw me in the bathroom? Yeah. Anyway, so as I was saying, right? So they used to set themselves up as gods. That's how we know what idolatry is, right? And the church tried to gaslight. The church tried to gaslight everybody and tell them that it's okay to worship a man as a god. Like, oh, he's a God in the flesh, which is literally what idolatry is. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is idol worship. That's what Nimrod said. Nimrod said he's the creator. He set himself up as a god. Everybody has to worship him. And the Christians, till this day, they worship Jesus, which is a demigod. It's a... how is that not pagan idolatry, you know? They're going to try to explain it away. You can't explain it away. You know what I mean? Can't explain it away, you know, like, make myself tea. You know, they're gonna explain from today to tomorrow, you know, their philosophy, you know, and how it's not idolatry and it's not pagan, and literally they have, like, in their church, they have images of Jesus and Mary, and they kneel before images and crosses, and they believe in a man, a human being, as a god. I mean, like, how is that not pagan? Like, oh, because it's literally God in the flesh. Yeah, but that is what idolatry is. That's idol worship. There's no way around it. Thanks for being my fart lover, I guess. Right? There's for sure handsome policemen out there, and I just can't seem to get me a man. I'm telling you, like, I feel like there's something karmic about my luck with men. Something karmic. Do you know? Here's my tea, everybody. Tea? Do you like my mug? I love mugs. Anyway, going back to talking about the gods of Mesopotamia. Okay. Yeah, so after the fall of the third dynasty of Ur, under which Babylon had become provincial center, it became the nucleus of a small kingdom established in 1894. And then it goes on to speak about these dates. So, like, 1792 is like 1819, 2000. It's 300 years ago, right? So, I don't know if it's to be 50 BCE, 1792. Is there another 1792? Because 1792 sounds more like 300 years ago. I'm confused. Conquered the surrounding cities, states, and raised Babylon to the capital kingdom, comprising all of southern Mesopotamia and part of Assyria, northern Iraq. Its political importance, together with its favorable location, make it henceforth the main commercial and administrative center of Babylonia, while its wealth and prestige made it a target for foreign conquerors. Oh, after a Hittite raid in 1595 BCE, so this is like before 1595, that's a year before, like 2,000 years ago. So it's not like 300 years ago, it's 2,000 years ago. Expand your horizons and become a goy's servant. Why would I do that? My head hurts. I'm out of luck. Who wants to see my painting? Anyway. Who wants to see my paintings? Who wants to see my paintings? If your luck will, with your own kind isn't working out, become a goy servant if your luck with your own kind isn't working out. If it's not working out with my kind, why would it work out with you guys? Let me show you guys my painting that I made today. I'm really proud. Is it pretty? Does anyone like it or not really? I don't know what I did at the bottom. I tried to make it like water. You know, like... Yeah. You know what I really need with this? I need You know what I need? Basically, I need to get this glaze that you put on and it seals the painting, right? I don't have it. Sure, it will work out, right? Then I'm proud to be Jewish and I want to be Jewish. Jew. Okay, so after a Hittite raid in 1595, the city passed to the control of the Kassites in 1570, who established a dynasty lasting more than 4 centuries, 400 years. Later in this period, Babylon became a literature and religious center, and the prestige of which was reflected in the elevation of Marduk, its chief god, to supremacy in Mesopotamia. In 1234, Tukulti-Ninurta I of Assyria subjugated Babylon. Who's this? Open link in new tab. Tukulti-Ninurta I reigned from 1243 C to 1207 C. I don't know what that is. To 1207 BC. King of Assyria, who asserted Assyrian supremacy over King Kashti-Liashu IV, ruler of the Kassite, controlled Babylonia to the southeast and subjugated the mountainous region to the northeast and for a time Babylonia. A promoter of cultic ritual, Tukulti-Ninurta erected a noted ziggurat temple to the goddess Ishtar, Dinitu, Ishtar of the Dawn, that served as a model of Assyrian architecture. He extended Ashur's fortification, but after reconstructed a new capital, Tukulti-Ninurta, facing Ashur, across the Tigris River. He was slain by his son. Okay, so this is... he was slain by his son. Okay, so then this is a real ruler. This is a human being, the king of Assyria, right? So, let's see, Iraqi architecture. Let's see architecture of the Iraqi people. This is their tradition. Botswana. This is in Botswana. This is in France. Oh, nice architecture. Let's this be in Blue Mosque, Istanbul, Turkey. This is in Tikal, Guatemala. What's this? In Cairo, Egypt. Oh, this is the Taj Mahal. Yeah, I knew it. India. Oh my god, this must be a prison. It's so scary. Oh, it's an assembly building in India. Okay. Andrea Palladia Vincenzo Scamozzi. Where is this? Rome. This must be Rome. Architecture. There are like beautiful places and then there's like really ugly places. Log cabin, Eiffel Tower. Venice. In the old days, they had really beautiful architecture. Today, I don't know how they did it, but today, with everything we have, like, this is what we make. You know, like, ugly. You know, like, come on. I think it's because the people are lazier and they don't want to work. Like, this is the Queen's Palace, right? But it's a cathedral in France. Yeah. It's very beautiful, right? Gothic. This is a castle, right? Castle. Mont Saint Michel Castle. This is in Istanbul, Turkey. Ishtar gate. So this reminds me of the demon goddess, you know? This is the demon goddess that we're talking about. No, the demon, not the god. It's a demon that they would do offerings, like we said before, to the god that we're talking about. Mantor? What was the god's name? Who remembers what the god's name is? Who remembers what the god's name is? You can say a Jew and you with a guy. It's very modern, hip to mix. I'm a Jew and I'm proud. I want a man that's gonna make kiddush for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the god that we're talking about? We're talking about the god of. The name is Marduk. So you give offerings to Marduk, the god of Marduk, who will protect you from this god. From the god named Ishtar. She's I think it's the demon god. Not the god, it's a demon that steals your babies and does bad things, you know? You know what I'm saying? This is papyrus columns. This, you see, and this is real art, you know, like sculptures. There are actually people who do sculptures today. They do sculptures, you know, of the human body, you know, and then they have you used to look at the beautiful architecture, you know, the pillars and wow. How do these people do sculptures that still exist today? And the woman's body, you know? This is Athens. Caryatid porch of the Erechtheum on the Acropolis at Athens. Yeah, so it's still standing somewhat. Like they don't have arms, but they're still up after a few thousand years, which is impressive. This is the architecture that we have today. Can you imagine? Then Reform Judaism within yourself. No, thank you. I believe in authenticity. You know what authenticity means? I mean that if you're going to do something, do it right, you know? You can't take something and just make it because to fit what you want. You know, that's not how it works. You know? I believe in respecting. You can't reform different cultures. Like, you have to, the culture is the culture for a reason, you know? Anyway, so you see how ugly the buildings are today? It looks like prisons. You know? This is the architecture of today. You think, like, with everything that you have today, life would be much easier, but no. Look what we have. Boxes. Jails. Here's a painting. The Crystal Palace. Wow. Oleograph by George Baxter. What is this? Floating houses? A response to rising sea levels. Oh. Scary, the noise.
Until now, however, only a select few have been in the position to afford them.
And we have problems, and this is one of the solutions.
Allow the construction to rise and fall with water level.
Whatever. Okay, let's go back to architecture. Wait, go back. Architecture. Where's my architecture? I want to see the architecture. Okay. So back to the story, right? Yes, unimaginary glass boxes. It's not even glass. It's like, it's not even glass. It's concrete. It's depressing. It's like really depressing. Let's see Japanese architecture, shall we? Okay, here's the temple in Japan. They also have scary gods. See, all of them, they have like these creepy gods, and they used to pray to it, you know? Today, the creepy gods have been replaced with Christianity, right? And so, right? The creepy gods of those days became replaced by Christianity. Now we have Christianity's creepy gods, you know? What's this? Wood and, Stucco pagoda at the Horyo temple complex.
'Cause it is. Until now, however, only a select few have been in the position to afford them. And we have problems, and this is one of the solutions.
What's this? Wood and stucco pagoda at the Horyo temple complex. Japan, even they had their own little thing going for them. Wow, look at all that detail. All the detail, you see, like, all this? Imagine how much work had to go into that, like... Wow. It looks really pretty. All the greenery. Wow, that's pretty. It's not really my style, like Japanese style, not my style. But they definitely got their own culture, right? Then you have, you want to see visual arts of Japan? Or you go back. Right? Okay, let's go see now. Back to the story. But which are those? But when talking about romance, do you seek advice from a rabbi? Well, to be honest, these days I figured it out. I figured it out. Do you know what I? Do you know what I figured it out? You know what I figured out? Guess what I figured out? I figured out that. Okay, so this rabbi, right, that I follow, his name is Rabbi Manis Friedman. My mother, he made my mother religious, right? So basically he said that marriage is not about love. That's what he said. He said marriage is not about love. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what he says, you know. In Judaism, it's important to follow different rabbis, you know, like it's important to pick a rabbi and follow what the rabbi says, you know, and get guidance from certain rabbis, right? So basically, what's it saying? Right, so this rabbi says, he says that, marriage is not for love, you know? He said marriage is not for love, so I was thinking to myself, like, really? Marriage is not for love, right? Then it occurred to me, I don't remember what he said about that, why he said that. But then, you know, I was looking at the history of Nicholas, the Tsar of Russia, right? Nicholas II. And I was looking at his wife Alexandra, and they seem to love each other, right? Which is unusual for marriages, especially in marriages of convenience. You know, royal families, they marry for, like, they don't marry for love, right? They marry because it's arranged marriages and they just need it for show, you know, and to produce an heir, right? So I figured out, you know, because also there's a concept in Judaism where, like, a lot of rabbis that are very smart, they say that, you know, in relationships, like, people fall in love and they fall out of love. So what do you do if you fall out of love with somebody, right? Like, what, you just divorce them? No, you can't do that. That's not right. So they say the point of marriage is not for love. The point of marriage is, from what my estimations, from what I understand, is that marriage is about the construct of family. It's an institution. Marriage is an institution. It's a construct of marriage. It's a construct for the stability of society and stability of the family. So, for instance, if you have two people, a man and a woman, that they like each other somewhat. They don't love each other. They like each other. They have basic respect for each other. They don't have much passion, right? But they get together to make a marriage, right? An institution of marriage, if they get together and sign a contract of marriage, they create this institution where they have to be dedicated to each other, and they have responsibility to each other and responsibility for the children that they create. So it's basically, the institution of marriage is for two people to come together so that they have companionship till they die, and for the stability of the family structure. For the stability of the family structure, where two people, a man and woman, they have a family structure, and they have the children, and it's for the family structure that they stay and they understand responsibility to each other, right? So the husband is responsible to the wife, right? If she needs anything, he has to be there for her needs. The woman needs to be responsible to her husband's needs, you know, like to create a functioning environment for the family structure, for the institution of family, right? And no love. It's about responsibility, because love comes and goes, feelings come and go. So what, you know, you love someone one minute, the next minute you don't love them. So forget about love, right? Responsibility. It's about responsibility and devotion and acts of kindness to one another, so that the institution of marriage, the marriage construct, can keep two people together, and they won't be alone, and they will be together until the day they die, supporting each other, and for the family structure of the children as well, to keep the structure together, and for the institution of the family, right? That is what marriage is. It's not for love. Love comes and goes. It makes no sense. And how did I discover this? Right? It's a willing, you can be willingly chained, basically. It's a chained institution where you willingly sign a contract for life, as long as the two of you respect each other and you have dedication to each other, whether you love each other or not, you know? So you just do acts of kindness to keep each other happy, so that you can stay together and be there for one another, whether you have feelings for each other or not, so that you don't die alone, and for the stability of the family. You understand? How did I come to this conclusion, right? Because firstly, I had a conversation with a lunatic who he says to me, what did he say? He says to me, yeah, I have a conversation with a lot of men, you know, and they're all the same, you know, like, I have to be in love. Oh, why did you break up? Because we didn't love each other. Oh, yeah, the sex wasn't good, so we couldn't be together. The sex wasn't good. It wasn't good enough. And, you know, all the excuses of the world, they all have excuses. All the men, they have these excuses. Oh, the sex wasn't good, so we broke up. Oh, why, you know, every reason in the book why not to be together with somebody. It's because, oh, we were not in love anymore. You know? So that means that, you know, like, feelings come and go. So therefore, if you decide one day you don't like somebody, then, you know, break up the marriage, break up the institution of marriage, break up the structure, and let the entire structure of family fall apart because of your feelings. So, right? It's not about feelings. It's about the institution, the structure of marriage, and for the stability of the family. So, husband and wife, whether you like them or not, you do kind things for them, and you dedicate yourself to them, and you are responsible to them, which means if they need to go to the hospital, then you're there for them. You go to the hospital, then they're there for you. And what happens is a lot of marriages break apart because the husband or the wife break up the institution, they break up the contract, which means, you know, they expect each other to be dedicated to each other. So, for instance, if the wife needs to be at the hospital and the husband is not there for her, right? And he's not doing his duties as a human being in the marriage, he's breaking the structure of the marriage. So therefore, that's why a lot of marriages don't work. It's because of lack of dedication and lack of responsibility. That's what I believe, right? So you have to like each other to get married, but you don't have to love each other. You have to enjoy each other's company, like each other, have a little bit of attraction. You have to have attraction, but the love is out the window. And then I understood from the rabbi what he meant when he said, I didn't understand what he said, but then the more I talked to these men and these individuals, I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand why the structure of marriage is so important, right? The structure, the contract is important. Why it's the respect, it's the contract, it's the dedication, and it's responsibility. That's number one. Responsibility. As soon as the other one or the other forgets the responsibility in the marriage, that's when this entire institution crumbles. And that's why people get divorced, right? Because they're not being responsible to the structure and the institution. So it doesn't work, it doesn't run. And right, so why did I say all this? Because I see in the royal families, right, they're all marriages of convenience, right? So they get married, they don't like each other, right? But it's a marriage of convenience, and it's a marriage for the stability of the economy. It's a marriage for stability of kingdoms. It's a marriage it's not for love. No one loves each other. And if they have passions, like flare up passions for other people, if you see in the kingdom, you see that the marriage, the king and the queens, they would go and have trysts. They don't love each other. The king would go and have his trysts with other women, and the queen would go have trysts with the other men. And it worked because at the end of the day, they understand responsibility to each other. But cheating, like having trysts and having trysts and having affairs in a marriage in the institution of marriage, if you have in the contract that you can't cheat on each other, you can't have an open marriage, right? And the person breaks that contract, right? Then that's what crumbles the marriage, because they broke the contract, right? Have you talked to elderly people who've been married for 50 years? Yes? Yeah. My parents are married almost 50 years, so like, right? So a lot of times, like, couples will have an understanding in the marriage contract. They'll have an understanding that the husband will do his philandering with other women, the woman will do her philandering with the other men. But at the end of the day, they have this understanding that when it comes to anything, they leave the other, the people that they had affairs with, they leave them when in times of emergency, and they are dedicated to the family, right? They are dedicated to the institution and to the construct and the contract. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes. Why do I say that they think the same? Because, I'll tell you why. Because I went home, right? And I went back to my family in June. And I was talking to my father, and he said something to the effect, I didn't understand what he said about, I'll tell you what he said. I didn't understand what he said about he said that, oh, you have to marry somebody because you want that person. You don't want anyone else, you want to be with that person. It's a soul thing, it's a soul connection, you just want to be with that person. No reason, you just want them, right? So then, I didn't really understand that. But then he said something to the effect of, listen, he said, you can't be alone, you have to get married and you have to have a family. And he said, the point of marriage, he said, is that at the end of the day, he says to me, I have your mother and your mother has me, and even though they don't really get along so well, and they didn't get along for so long, they're there for each other, right? He says, I can't live without your mother. He says to me, I can't live without your mother, and your mother can't live without me. They're there for each other. At the end of the day, through all the fighting and everything, after having 11 kids, like, they're there for each other. Like, they're there, they have each other, even if they're fighting and they're miserable. Who's to say that they are miserable? But they have each other's company, and they have the dedication and the responsibility to each other. So if my father's sick, like he is sick now, my mother is taking care of him, right? And if my mother's not feeling good, then my father will go and take care of her, right? It's about the institution, so and the contract and the construct of marriage, so that's the point of it. The point is not of love, right? So the point is dedication, responsibility. First, number one is responsibility, devotion, dedication, and kindness, right? Without those 4 things, you have nothing, right? And that, my friend, is what I discovered. Right? And if you fall in love, you're lucky. And if you stay in love, you're also lucky. Right? Because, like, if you see the kings and the queens, at the end of the day, if they didn't kill each other, or if the queen didn't kill the king, or the king didn't kill the queen, and if they were alive and they both had affairs, at the end of the day, they would stick together for the constructs of humanity. Yeah. For the construct of the empire. Do you know? That's what it's about. Marriage is not, like, now, I keep saying it because it's a discovery I made, you know? I didn't understand what the rabbis were talking about when they said it's not about marriage. I couldn't understand why the rabbi said, and then it hit me after speaking to a bunch of lunatics and crazies, you know? Finally it hit me, right? It hit me, oh yeah. It's because, you know, like, the men, they all say, oh, we're not in love anymore. There's no passion, and the sex was horrible, so we divorced. That's a reason to divorce? The reason to divorce is if the guy is abusive, if there's no respect in the marriage, and there's no responsibility and no devotion, and there's no kindness, that's the reason for divorcing. There's no other reason to divorce other than if you hate each other and you just gonna kill each other, you know, like, and there's no respect, right? So, yeah, that's the, whatever, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, because then there's women that need emotional needs, but then again, part of responsibility to your spouse is to fulfill their needs. So if it's an emotional need, then you have to figure out a way to give that emotional need to the other partner, right? Me, I'm talking about, like, I know what I'm talking about, right? I'm just figuring it out, friends. I'm just figuring it out. You know, like, I'll show you this rabbi that I follow. Man, it's Friedman, marriage, love. Excuse me. Let's see what he says. What is intimacy? Change your mind about love, right? How do you know she's the one? True love, dating, and marriage. There's no love. What are you saying? Why you should never make conversation with a woman. With a woman? Boundaries you must set in marriage. What is true love? Right? So part of the marriage and the structure of marriage and the respect and the dedication and the responsibility is basically, part of the responsibility of the marriage is basically if if the person that you're with has a certain need, to fulfill that need in some way, right? So that the person is happy, even if there's no passion, right? My man is Friedman. Where's his channel? Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Videos, wait, what? The biggest scam in history? They lied to us. Miracle, oops. What is it? The struggle. Who's this man? Boom. Everything changes. Everyone needs to hear this. Millions of marriages die because of this. Who wants to see? Who wants to see that? Should I show you guys? Should I show you guys? See, who wants to see? Sound like a roommate, more like... do they think the same? Sounds like a roommate, more like... No, roommates have no connection. Roommates have no dedication to each other. There's no contract between two roommates. There's no real, like, you know, there is duties in a marriage, you know? You have to fulfill duties. Especially in Judaism, right? Like, the husband needs to fulfill duties to a woman, and if he doesn't do that, she can divorce him. Do you know what I'm saying? It's about obligation. It's about duty. It's about... God, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. My air conditioner does not work. Okay, let's go see the rabbi, what he says. Millions of marriages die because of this. Okay, let's see if he has anything to say, if there's anything interesting.
And if you remember,
Okay, let's go see this. Okay, let's see what the rabbi has to say. There has to, yeah, okay, so, and, oh, I guess another thing is you have to want to be with the person, to live with the person. You can't force yourself to live with the person, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
and if you remember the first time you went and how it felt and how nervous you were, how unsure you were about how close can you get? Should you even be there? Is it right for you to be there? It was a very unusual experience, different from all other experiences. Title is Soulmates, the Romance of Attraction. We've talked a little bit about the romance of attraction, the male and female instincts, the healthy ones, the real ones, the good ones. But what is a soulmate? In order for a relationship to work, you need two fundamental conditions. Any relationship. The first condition is you have to be generous.
Exactly.
A person who's not generous is not capable of
kindness. You have to be generous and kind. If your partner is not doing that, then they're not fulfilling their obligation.
Interacting with another person in a successful fashion.
Exactly.
Generosity means open to another person's presence, open to another person's needs. You can be generous with your money. You can be generous with your time. You can be generous with your space.
Mm-hmm.
You can be generous with your opinions. To have a good relationship, you need to be generous in all of the above.
You have to be generous with your money, with your space, with your time, with your emotions. You know, so even if, like, you don't really love each other, if you're fulfilling each other's needs by giving, then that's what works.
There are people who have very good feelings, who are very generous with their money, their time, and their space. But for some reason, they're not generous with their words.
Right.
A man says to me, the other day, my wife did something so incredible. I don't know where she gets it, but she does. It's just incredible. I said, did you tell her? He said, no. So why not? No reason.
He's not generous with his
He's
words.
not given to speak generously.
Exactly.
We need to be generous in speech as well. When a person is generous, the flow that forms the bridge between one entity and another, that bridge is a healthy one. And so it makes possible a relationship. The second condition, necessary for effective relationships, is respect. And this gets very little press. People talk about being generous and nice. Very seldom do you hear in advice columns and books on relationships, you hardly ever hear about respect.
Mm-hmm.
Respect means dignity, allowing the other person their dignity. We sometimes hear people say, allow them their space. But what does that mean? It means allow them their dignity. If there's some area in which they don't feel comfortable, they're not so good at it, they're a little timid about it, give them that space.
Exactly.
Don't impose yourself where you're not welcome.
Exactly. And that's what my ex, he was not giving me my dignity and my space. He would try to make me do things I don't want to do.
That's called giving them dignity.
Exactly.
You also have to maintain your own dignity to enable them to respect you. We spoke about this afternoon. It is very rare that a husband or wife respect each other after they've been intimate, inappropriately. So we spoke about what real intimacy means and what junk relationships are. If it's not real intimacy, then you have lost respect for each other. It may not be important to you, you may not be concerned with respect, you may think it's worth it, but you've lost respect because you've lost something.
See, that I don't understand. He said, like, if you're not together, and he tried to make me do things, like, sexually that I wasn't okay with, and it was abusive.
Relationships are. If it's not real intimacy, then you have lost respect for each other. It may not be important to you, you may not be concerned with respect, you may think it's worth it, but you've lost respect because you've lost something. You need to be respectful of others of the other, and you need to maintain your own dignity.
Exactly.
We had a Russian couple, elderly couple, who came to Minnesota from White Russia. The guy was from the old school. Back before the communists, he was the chazan in this shul.
He was the cantor of the shul, right?
And he remained an observant Jew through it all. After a few years living in Minnesota, his wife came down with some horrible mental condition. Very difficult, very painful, very hard on the husband. And after a year, she passed away. At the shiva, he said, in Yiddish, in the typical Yiddish style of speaking, he said, to say that I was a good husband, I don't know. But I can tell you that all of our days together, I never compromised her dignity.
Wow. So he said to say that, what did he say? To say that we were a good couple together, right?
To say that I was a good husband?
To say I was a good husband, no, I wasn't a good husband. But when we were together, I never ever compromised her self-respect, her dignity. You respected her.
But I can tell you that all of our days together, I never compromised her dignity.
Right.
A husband who can say that has done a magnificent job.
Mm-hmm.
He made it sound like it's nothing. But maintaining dignity when you live together in the same house, you got to really be special to do that. Because we undermine each other's dignity constantly with being careless, being thoughtless, and lowering our standards. How often have you seen a couple speak to each other with such a lack of respect that you were shocked?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Because you know for a fact that that same couple would never speak to a stranger the way they're talking to each other.
Exactly.
They would never say the things they say to each other to the delivery boy, to the plumber. And yet to each other, they speak like this.
Yeah. But the wife wasn't around for the interview at that point. You have a point there. But at least, like, you know, if we go at his word, you know, if we go at the man's word that he never compromised her dignity, then let's say it's true, right?
It's not a question of where did the love go. It's a question of where did the decency go.
Exactly. So if you don't have basic respect and you're talking to each other like trash, there is no way to love somebody. That's what I'm saying. Like when in a marriage, right, in a relationship, from what I'm understanding, it's like if two people, you know, like they start talking down, not nice to each other, right? If one person's talking down, they make it impossible. They're basically not fulfilling their responsibility to their wife. They're not fulfilling their responsibility and their devotion and their generosity. They're breaking the contract through disrespecting her, and through the marriage is out the window. The relationship is broken, right? Because if there's no respect and he's speaking to her in a certain way and he's talking down to her and he's, you know, making her feel like garbage and he's breaking the contract. So then that's why marriages probably break down. It's not because, oh, how can you even think to fall in love with somebody that treats you badly, you know?
Even someone you don't love, you don't talk to like that. You don't say things like that.
Right.
So just a few examples. You sit down by the table with your spouse. Who gets the first portion? This is the traditional way of doing it. You put the plate in front of the husband, and he serves his wife first. Just dignity. You never call your spouse from across the house, from a different room. You don't summon each other.
Right.
You don't talk to each other from a distance. You
Right.
have something to say, come over and say it. Don't shout it from another room.
Right.
It's not dignified. It's
Right.
not respectful. If you have generosity, kindness, and
No, of course it goes two ways, you know? Like, I'm not saying women are not to be blamed, you know, but from my experience, you know, from my personal experience, you know, like, I don't think I've ever really, when I was in relationships, right, I don't feel like I ever really disrespected somebody, you know, unless I was being disrespected. Do you know what I'm saying? Unless I was being disrespected, that's when, like, okay, it's over.
which is dignity, you have a good relationship. That is a solid, long-lasting, beneficial relationship. Both parties will gain from this.
Mm-hmm.
But it isn't necessarily a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a relationship.
Relationship.
In order for a good relationship to also be a marriage, you need a third ingredient. and that is sanctity.
Holiness.
A marriage without holiness is just a relationship. Intimacy without holiness, like we were saying this afternoon, is not the real thing. True intimacy means finding and reaching the most innocent state within yourself, and that's holiness. So without sanctity, without holiness, a good relationship will never become a marriage. To be a marriage, you have to have the element of sanctity. Now, what does sanctity mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? What does holiness mean?
Anything you can buy, anything you can own, can't be sacred. If it can belong to you, if you have the rights, then it can't be sacred. Sacred means what you cannot own. You can go to Yerushalayim, you can go to the Kotel, you can go to the holiest spot, and you can daven there. You can put a note into the wall.
You can pray there.
You can't own it. You can't buy it.
Really?
You can't claim to have some rights. You can go and very respectfully and reverentially do what you need to do, and then you back away.
You're saying, like, he's basically saying you can't feel like you own a person. You know what I'm saying? You don't own them. They're not yours.
Because this is sacred. This is holy ground. And if you remember the first time you went, and how it felt, and how nervous you were, how unsure you were about how close can you get, should you even be there? Is it right for you to be there?
Men are the ones that really need to learn this, you know? Because they're the ones who usually cross boundaries with sex.
It was a very unusual experience. Different from all other experiences. The second time, the third time, the fourth time, maybe that started to wear off a little. Especially when you notice these guys with their chairs leaning against the wall having lunch. Kind of dampens the enthusiasm a little.
It's like when he's saying like the first time you go, it's so special, right? You go to the holy Kotel, right? The holy Western Wall, right? In Jerusalem. It's special. Second time, you know, you start getting used to it, right? And then you see people like not being respectful to the wall, right?
It's a little too familiar. A little too familiar.
You're not supposed to like treat it as if it's an everyday thing where you just like can take advantage of the fact that it's there. And what's he going to say?
He does not allow familiarity. One of the violations that goes on constantly in relationships between men and women in our society, in American society, is the familiarity. A man gets to know a woman, they go to dinner once, lunch the next day, he expects some intimacy.
Exactly. That's what really bothers me.
Come on. This is our second date.
He's right, you know? This is the problem with secular men.
There's a comedian who says, nobody thinks of being intimate after one date. Come on, they're not animals. Not after the second date, you hardly know the guy. After the third date, now that you know him, what do you know about him?
Exactly.
That he knows how to get to where the date is? So there is a certain entitlement that mostly men feel.
Exactly. From my experience.
You spent some time together. You paid the bill at the restaurant. Okay, now you deserve.
Exactly.
Now you're entitled to some intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's not true.
It's
How about after 10 dates? Still not true. How about after being engaged? Still not true. Okay, fine, let's get married. Then you're married, and you discover that it's still not true. You have no rights, you have no ownership, you have no privileges, you can't demand, you can't expect, ever, never, even after 50 years of being married.
Right. Okay, so yeah, that's another problem when it comes to men, like with their sexual desires. Like they put a lot of pressure on the woman, you know. I want you to do this for me, I want you to do that for me, and they expect, you know, and it's a lot of pressure, you know, that a woman feels from a man. It's like he has all these demands as if she's some sort of like servant, you know, like it's disrespectful, you know. That's from my experience, at least.
Intimacy in marriage.
And then the man says, yeah, I broke up with the woman because she said that all I care for is sex, right? All I care for is sex. And that's not true, because I used to take her everywhere. And listen, I like sex, but that's all she said. That's all she can see is that all I care for is sex. And then I understood that he's obviously treating her like an animal, you know, because like he has no respect for her in a way where she just feels pressure all the time. You know what I'm saying? If I need to find the right woman for it, if I need something more, I don't know, to be more grounded, if a woman would open her legs so fast anyway, that woman isn't worth keeping seriously. I don't know if you can say that either, you know, because if you're the type of guy that would take a woman on a first date so quickly, then what does that say about you, you know? You're not someone to be taken seriously either. You're just a schmuck, right?
The relationship between husband and wife is a sacred one. Sacred means you can't own it.
Exactly.
It'll never be yours, not even a tiny bit. So the feeling of entitlement is the opposite of the feeling of sanctity. So sanctity means this relationship is not something we put together. Want to marry me? I want to marry you. Okay, we agreed. Now let's do it. That's not marriage. That's not marriage. That's just an agreement. Marriage is something bigger than the two of us. Marriage is something God invented and expects us to share.
Institution.
But to own it, it's not a human idea. It's a divine idea. And the arrangement or the rules that govern this relationship have to be divine.
See, the sad part is that, he's lecturing mostly women. It's like he's speaking to the wrong people, you know? It's not the woman that need these lectures, it's the man.
If they're just human, then you don't have a marriage. You just have a roommate. And you can have a very good roommate and be a very good roommate and live happily ever after.
Like you said, right? Oh, it's just a roommate.
But that's not a marriage.
Exactly.
So to make it a marriage, you need the third ingredient called sanctity. And sanctity means you can't own it.
Right.
If you enjoyed this conversation or this topic,
Basically, don't think that the person's going to be there, like as if you expect the person to be there for everything and anything, and just have expectations and think that you have rights to, you know, she has to be available all the time when you want to fuck her and whatever, you know, like, no, she's a human being, you know what I'm saying?
and you're looking for more information, or you want to hear it again from another angle, there is a way to do that. And that is in this book. It's all there. Order it from Amazon. You can read it, reread it, and share it.
It's just frustrating, you know? It's frustrating. For me, it's frustrating to hear him speak because he's saying the truth. And the problem is, right, is that, yeah, that's the problem, right? Anyway, I wanted to talk about the gods, right? And then he has other stuff about marriage. He's very good, right? Like, he has, don't marry her unless she needs you. The KGB exiled him to the wilderness. Why do parents lie to their kids? Do kids need therapy? 5 secrets to a strong marriage. Are you ready? In the pursuit of happiness is so depressing. The pursuit of happiness, chasing happiness, is depressing. It's true. How to stop messing yourself over. Your greatest fear in marriage. Why you hurt yourself. A message to women, a sensitive topic. Is this modesty? Oh, he speaks about the Islamists. Do you want to hear about that? Let's go see what he says about the Muslims and the burqas, shall we? Let's go see that, okay? He's very good, this rabbi. He's really good. Yeah, like, he speaks to women. Hold on.
So if a father runs around and...
Hold up. Hold up. Hold up, friends. Hold up, Frankenstein. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Let's go see what else he has to say, shall we? Okay. Let's see what he says about the burqas.
So if a father runs around in his underwear, it's devastating.
Now he's talking about fathers walking around in his underwears. I like headscarves, but not niqabs or burqas. Ah. It's a fetish. It's a Muslim fetish. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay.
Again, there is this assumption. The reason for a woman's sneeze is because men have a problem.
The reason, he's saying, there's an assumption, right, in every culture that the reason for a woman's modesty is so for the men that they don't get, turned on.
It's not bad to consider what men are experiencing, but that's not where sneeze starts.
That's not where modesty doesn't start because of men.
That's not what sneeze is about. Sneeze is about yourself.
Modesty is about yourself.
Even when you're alone.
Even when you're alone.
It's not a concern for men. Because, there's no end to that.
Right. Exactly. There's no end. If you're going to have concern for men about their modesty, listen, every man, he's going to explain, has a different fetish. Some men have fetishes for the ankles, you know, so what are you going to do? Cover your ankles?
So it shouldn't be like, you have to cover your elbows and your knees. No, ask men what they have a problem with and act accordingly.
Right. So it's not like, you know, in Judaism, there's a set of rules. Like, so for women, for instance, a woman is supposed to cover her collarbones, her elbows, and her knees with sleeves covering and covering her knees, right? For herself, right? And he's saying that you can't be modest for the sake of men, because if you're going to go and ask a man what turns him on, okay, your nose is going to turn him on, right? So
if men have a problem with ankle, cover your ankle.
Exactly.
If men have a problem with noses.
Exactly. You got to cover your nose.
Cover your nose. Come on, that's ridiculous. And what about men who have no problem with elbows and knees? So you don't have to cover that either.
Yeah, so if a man doesn't turn them on, your knees don't turn a man on, so then you don't need to cover your knees? No.
It has nothing to do with what men are thinking or
Modesty has nothing to do with what men are thinking.
I'm sure you may have heard the story that there was a woman back in the days of in the ancient days who was very, very beautiful, and men were very attractive, and she felt guilty. She felt guilty that she was misleading men, causing men to sin, and she wanted to die. She would rather die than cause men to. And it's treated like wow, what a great woman. That was without Hasidus.
Yeah, that was without. Hasidus is a different. It's a theology. It's a philosophy, right? It's a certain type of philosophy which explains and spiritualizes things, and it also explains to the minor detail, like simplifying things in a different idea, right, of what things can mean. Besides for just like, oh, you're beautiful, man. All the men want to sin with you. You're causing them to jerk off. Oh, okay. Your existence. The world is better off without your existence because you're causing men to sin, right?
Without Hasidus, things are pretty much black and white. There's no distinctions made. Hasidus helps us make distinctions. There's the good part. There's the bad part. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You know, that's kind of das. Chachma bina das.
It's chachma. It's intellect. It's wisdom. Das is knowledge, and bina is understanding.
So yes, there's some problem. If you're very attractive, men will. It's not your problem; it's their problem.
Exactly. What about when we get catcalled by men? What about when we get catcalled by men?
What do you think to yourself when you get an anti-Semitic remark? But do you say, well, maybe I shouldn't be Jewish? Look what it's doing. It's causing anti-Semitism.
Right. So if, you're walking down the street. This rabbi is walking down the street, and people are like, "Kike, fucking Jew." What, you're supposed to be like, okay, they're calling out to me. They're anti-Semitic. Oh, it's my fault. I need to stop being Jewish, or I need to just roll over and die because they're calling out to me. I'm the cause of their anti-Semitism. It makes no sense, right? So when a man catcalls you, a woman, it has nothing to do with us. It has something to do with them. They need to stop.
Jewish causes anti-Semitism. So maybe we shouldn't be so Jewish. Of course not. There's unholiness in the world. Mashiach is not here.
Deal with it, yeah.
But be less Jewish. So if men treat beauty as if it's something sexual, so you shouldn't be beautiful. That's giving in to the evil.
They're evil, the men. He's a feminist. Joking. Maybe he is. Why do divorced women continue to cover their hair? A lady asked. In Judaism. So in Judaism, there's this concept when a woman gets married, and even if she gets divorced, when they get married, they cover their hair. And if they get divorced, then they still cover their hair. But some women, they don't need to cover their hair. They don't have to, but they just continue to cover their hair.
That's true. The reason women continue to cover their hair is because you never go backwards. Once you go up to a higher level, you don't go backwards. And there are times when women are in a predicament where they're allowed to take the wig off.
Exactly. So, like, for example, if a woman is trying to find a man to marry for herself to look more appealing and to find the shidduch, like a match for herself, she can take off her wig or take off her headscarf in order to attract somebody for marriage.
Not going backwards is a principle. It's not a commandment.
Right. So it's the commandment. It's not a commandment to cover your hair. Women don't have to cover their hair in Judaism, but women do it for spiritual reasons. Why don't we cover our hair before marriage?
Before marriage? Because then it's a good thing to let off a little energy.
Right. So before you're married, it's okay to be let off beautiful energy, like sexual energy, you know, like, because our hair is an intimate part of us, so we're allowed to let off a little energy to attract the mate, you know.
Because you're not using it.
Right,
You're not being intimate.
You're not using it for anybody. You're not like, you don't have a partner to be intimate with, so your hair is to either attract somebody, or it's just, it doesn't matter, you know, like, I think that's what he's saying, you know, like, because once a woman is married, then she covers her hair and keeps it, she keeps it for her husband to see, and also for herself, she covers it because it becomes holy, so.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some of that has kind of infiltrated into Jewish thinking, that if a woman is a woman, it's a problem.
If a woman's a woman, it's a problem, right? So there's lots of like ultra-Orthodox people who have this mentality, you know, to like cover women up, you know, like what the Muslims do, cover their women up. But it's not a Jewish thing. It's not a Jewish thing to behave that way, in that fashion, to like completely make a woman ugly.
That's so not, it's so not real. You can't live like that.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the fact that it's not holy, it's giving into unholiness.
Exactly. It's basically like he said, you know, like if a man catcalls a woman, and the woman decides to cover up because the man is catcalling her, she's giving in to the male evil urge, right? He has to control himself, you know.
It's like the Yetzer Hara is what makes us do terrible things.
The evil inclination that a person is born with makes us do bad things.
So we got to get rid of the Yetzer Hara.
We have to get rid of our evil inclination.
No.
Oh, we don't have to.
No. Don't get rid of the Yetzer Hara.
We have the inclination. We're inclined to do bad things. We don't get rid of the bad inclination. We just get rid of the actual act.
Because then you're useless. The whole point is to have a Yetzer Hara and do the right thing.
The whole point is to have an evil inclination, but to make a choice to do the right thing.
But saying, no, I can't. If I have a Yetzer Hara, I'm going to give in.
If I have a bad
so you're giving in
then you're giving
to unholiness. You're losing the battle. Don't do that. So
he's lecturing. I don't know. He's lecturing women, as you can see. These wigs, Jewish women wear wigs. So he's lecturing women. The thing is, like, it's good. This is good for women, what he's saying. But a lot of his lectures, men need to listen to him because he's very good.
The whole notion of tznius, of modesty, takes on a whole new meaning. It's not men and women, and it's not like we're standing on the border between good and evil, and one little mistake and you're into evil. That's such a negative description of life.
Right, it's like you're all evil, or it's like there's no gray area. It's just like you're either completely evil or you're completely good. It's like you can't. If a person falls down one day, there's no hope for them to get back up because, oh, you're evil.
You always have to be careful because one wrong move and you're into sinfulness. No, you're not. We're not constantly suspicious that people are going to sin.
Exactly.
That itself is such a negative, depressing attitude.
Exactly.
So why a man and a woman are not allowed to be in a room alone together? Oh, because you know what's going to happen. No, come on. Don't treat everybody like they're bent on evil.
Right, they can do bad things, rapists.
Abraham Avinu is not allowed.
Abraham, our forefather,
to be in the same room with Esther. Why? Oh.
Queen Esther. Queen Esther?
Oh, you know what's going to happen. Are you kidding? What are you talking about?
Like, why do you expect every encounter with a male to turn into something sexual? Like, that's what he's saying. Like,
so
you're crazy to think that way.
Not powerful that is going to lead to sin. It's powerful. It is. So, intimacy is a reality, not a sin. So, there are times when intimacy is kosher, and there are times when intimacy is inappropriate. Not because you're going to sin.
Right, so being alone with a man in a room, a man and a woman being alone together, it's an act of intimacy.
Because intimacy should be with your husband, with your wife, not with somebody else.
Intimacy, you should only be alone. Like in Jewish law, a woman is not allowed to be alone in the same room with a man.
Being alone in a room together is intimate.
Exactly.
Not because you're going to sin.
Not because you're going to do anything. What about at home?
So I got to tell you, I don't know why or how, but for some reason, your children seeing your hair is devastating to them. I don't know why, but it's something to overcome.
Right.
And many children don't overcome it.
Right, so he's saying that, like, for Jewish kids, right, when they go home, if they're at home, right, and the mother, the law is, there's no law for women to cover her hair, right? So there's no Jewish law for women to cover her hair. But it's an extra stringency because of signals in the Tanakh where, you know, like, women, we only know about the covering of the hair because of the Saita, who is a woman who, if she is accused of committing adultery, then what they do is they take her and they, the husband will bring her to a court of law and they'll give her some water to drink, and if she's guilty, then she will die, and if she's not guilty, and basically they uncover her hair. That's the only way we know that a Jewish woman can possibly cover her hair. Like, it's a Jewish thing, right? So, but it's not part of any commandments. So, but because of this thing that women do by covering their hair when they get married, what happens is, right, that what happens is when they get married is that what happens is, and when they get married, right, so she covers her hair, right, and then the kid is used to the mother covering her hair outside, and at home a lot of the time the mother, she covers her hair as well, right? But some mothers, when they go home, they will uncover their hair. And for children, he's saying, a lot of kids, that they see their mother go out with their hair covered, and then they come home and the hair is uncovered, somehow that the kids, they don't understand it somehow spiritually.
And they become jaded. Like, what would happen if children see their parents being intimate? Why is that happen?
Right. What happens if a kid see their parents having sex? You know, like, there's always, like, those stories of, like, kids walking in on their parents having sex, and then they're damaged for life.
Children who see their parents being intimate are in therapy for the rest of their lives. Why? Why is it so devastating?
Why is it so devastating?
So a child who looks at pornography is negatively affected, but not like if they see their parents.
Right.
It kind of makes sense. I can't explain it exactly, but it makes sense that a child seeing his mother inappropriate.
Right. When it's, that's why it's, like, so damaging. Like, you know, like, when kids come from messed up homes and they talk about, like, J.D. Vance, for example, you know, the guy who is elected for vice president, Donald Trump, right? So part of his story was, like, his mother would bring home, like, all these guys that would beat her up, you know, and it fucked with his head, you know, it messed him up. But he's talking specifically here about, like, if kids see their mother, like, making out with another man, you know, besides for their father, or even acting that way with their own father, you know, it's damaging. That's what he's saying.
Devastating to the neshama.
To the soul. Devastating to the soul.
You're not allowed, for example, you're not allowed to be intimate. Husband and wife are not allowed to be intimate if there's a baby in the room.
Right, according to Jewish law.
Under a year.
According to Jewish law, a baby over a year, you're not allowed to have sex in front of a baby.
Why?
They can understand there's something connection.
They should not be exposed to that energy.
The energy.
Yeah.
So children in particular are hypersensitive to their mother's sneers.
Modesty.
No child should ever feel sexual energy coming from their mother. Make sense? The father also, but not the hair.
Right.
So if a father runs around in his underwear, it's devastating.
Right. The kids hate it.
If you enjoyed this conversation or this topic, and you're looking for more
The kids
information,
hate it.
or you want to hear it again from another angle,
He's
there's
good.
a way to do
He's
that.
good. Very
and that
good.
is in this book.
Exactly. He's very good. You see? This guy is genius. I got some information. All these idiots sending me. All these people. Okay, let's go see what else there is, right? Shall we go see? We got distracted. Okay. What else is there? 1 second. Sensitive topic is this modesty, right? Your grace be in marriage. How men are lied to about marriage. You have less control than you think. This video will change your life. Where does he talk about love? Right? LGBT in the Bible. Who wants to hear that? You want to hear LGBT in the Bible? How to know when it's over. Who is he? The Jews are counting down. Here's why. Feminine husbands destroy marriage. That's why most women don't like feminine men. Right? Iran saw it. What's the point of anything? I'm trying to look for the... Right? Like... we're reverting back to creation. Chatting with Priscilla, the queen maker, about men, women, dating, and sexuality. So he speaks to, like, these women. What men and women don't understand about each other. Moses and God. Love versus fear. Women versus men. When ladies outdid the men. Be careful when a girl asks you this. It's a trap. Yeah, this is very interesting. It's good stuff, man. Right? Okay. What else should we watch? Rabbi's warning, stay away from religion. One easy trick to raising emotionally healthy kids. I'm looking for, like, the one where he talks about love. Do you know what I mean? How Netflix show Jewish matchmaking went viral. That's interesting. He talks with the lady. Jewish matchmaking. Did this Seinfeld scene cross the line? Okay, maybe we'll just continue. Yeah, he said we were in Asia. They're a hot commodity. Such a nice rabbi. Yep. Love it when you get gassy. Thank you. Does he talk about when a Jew loves a goy? Yeah. I'm sure he does, because he basically speaks, the people he speaks to are, a lot of them are not religious Jewish women, so a lot of them, they have relationships with non-Jewish men, right? And then, a lot of the time, you know, they will discuss that type of thing, right? So that's a very good topic, actually, right? We can go to his live. Celebrate Shavuos, right? This is his arena, like the question you just asked, you know, about Jewish people marrying goy, relationships, modesty, all this stuff, right? Let's go see what his shorts look like. Not his shorts as in his boxers, I mean his short videos. So I don't see this. Israel Prime Minister made one small mistake.
Bibi Netanyahu gave a great speech in front of Congress. One thing remains a little vague: the vision for Gaza in the future. To have Palestinians living in Gaza who don't hate Jews, so that Gaza will never again be a threat to Israel. I'm not sure what that means. First of all, what guarantee do you have the people living there don't hate Jews? So at first you're going to have to police and have military presence or something just to make sure, which probably guarantees that they're not going to like you. Exactly. So I don't see this as a plan at all. Exactly. Way too vague, way too iffy. We need a little more clarity of vision than that. I think the simplest thing that people expect Israel to do is to simply occupy it. They had a chance to turn it into the Singapore of the Middle East. Well, now it's Israel's turn. Now you take it and turn it into the Singapore of the Middle East. Exactly. Then Gaza will never again be a threat to Israel. It's a reasonable thing, like Bibi himself said. Is that asking too much? I think the world would support him on that. Bibi?
Yeah. See, he's good. This guy's good. Very good. You can't just force them to like us. We gotta occupy it, right? This guy's good. Love is destroying marriage. Okay, this is what we have to see. Love is destroying marriage. Hold on, hold on. Love is destroying marriage. Let's go see. Hold on.
Love and sex.
Love is destroying marriage. Let's go see that. Hold on. Hold up. Hold up.
Love and sex, or the expectation.
Okay, here we go. Oops. Oops, I did it again. I made you believe more than just friends.
Of those things, maybe, is what you're saying. But I'm
What we have made of love and
sex, or the expectations of those things, maybe, is what you're saying. But
what we have made of love and sex is toxic, destructive, and ugly.
Okay.
Sex used to be intimate. It's not anymore. Since the 60s, free love means sex without intimacy. Sex without intimacy is pornography. Pornography does not create bonds between people. On the contrary, it separates you. So here's how love works. That which is important in your life, you should love. That which is not important in your life and you love it, still not important. It's such a nasty thought. If I love you, you are the most important thing in the world. When I stop loving you, you're garbage.
Exactly.
How arrogant, how narcissistic that is. My love makes you important. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, so did you hear that, you guys? Basically what he said there was, that was my point, right? Like, what I was saying, the point about, like, all this, like, love stuff, right? Like, oh, once I stop loving you, I don't want to be with you because I don't love you anymore. So it's about you, you know, you and what you feel and your feelings and your love. Like, that is such an asshole thing to do. You know what I'm saying? It's not about you loving somebody. It's about that person being important in your life, right? Regardless of whether you love them or not. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I think what we're going to do now is we will continue talking about the gods, shall we? That's why it bothered me, you know, when I hear these men say that they just fell out of love and so they divorced. So, oh, because you don't love each other anymore, and therefore you're not important anymore to that person. That person's not important to you. You know, like, hello? What kind of mentality is that? It's just so mean. It's so arrogant. It's like, okay, so if I go with a man and he loves me for a year and then he falls out of love and then he decides, okay, I don't love her anymore, I have no interest, I'm not important anymore just because he doesn't love me, and therefore he'll go find somebody else to love. It's disgusting, it's mean, it's cruel. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, back to the dynasty. First, let's go and see Marduk, the chief god of Babylon. Hi, I saw your OkCupid profile. And he has a chinchilla. Okay, and so, okay, I'll answer him. Hi, thank you. Hi, very nice. Okay, let's see who else there is who wants to talk to me. Oh, I can't date somebody like that. Sorry, I just can't do it. You like my profile, following me, okay, whatever. Fat hog's following me, okay. Okay, back to the gods, shall we? What did your bio say there? It says basically, if there are kids in the marriage, then all that makes sense. If not, it's a complete waste of time. What do you mean? It's a complete love? You mean like Like, so you're saying that if you don't have kids, then you should just be with multiple partners because you fall in and out of love with everybody, so just be with everybody. Like, okay, that's the type of quality life you want to live? A life of garbage? Without actually, like, having someone of importance in your life, right? Just discarding somebody because you don't love them anymore, so discard them because they're not important in your life anymore because you don't love them because of your feelings. Like, okay, that's what kind of life you want to live. I sure hope you don't find nobody to live with, right? Yeah. Yeah, that kind of pisses me off, right? My bio says, oh, let's go to my other profile, shall we? My dating profile on the religious one. Okay, let's go. Oh, look, here's my picture. New messages. Right? Okay, let's see. One on messages. He looks mean, this guy. You know? He says he's 47, a little too old for me. A guy with good manners, with the joy of life, pleasant to people, funny sometimes, and repentant. Full regular service. He's in the military. He's looking for a serious relationship. Good week. Good morning. Hi. Hi. Hi, Kobe. I'll say hi to him. He's a little too old for me. Okay. Let's see who else sent me something. Yossi. Yossi is not rich. He just drank a bottle of wine. He's drunk. He plays guitar. Let's see what else it says. Looking for a life partner who wants to grow together. Qualities: I appreciate our honesty, caring, and a good eye. Okay. He says hi to me. Oh, it's my birthday. He sees it's my birthday. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, thank you. Hi, thank you. Next. Let's see who else there is. This is so miserable. This guy sent me a message. Divorced. I'd be happy to expand more in personal conversation. Right? Works as a freelancer in the field of construction and renovations. Lives in Jerusalem. Loves nature and animals very much. Truth. He's looking for truth, simplicity, house, love, wisdom. Whatever. He says hi to me. I should say hi. How do they know it's my birthday? Hi, thank you. Hi, thank you. It is indeed my birthday. Okay, let's go see who else there is. Eliran. Serious relationship, marriage. You are my woman for my life. I'm interested in you by my side, a good, high quality, accommodating, sociable, and communicative woman who loves to smile. May we build a good life together. Good luck to everybody. Oh. Oh. Hi, congratulations. Thank you. I have to say thank you. It's my birthday. Okay, hi. Hi. It's all translated to English. Okay, let's see what else there is. Mickey. Not gonna work for me. He wears tight pants. Sorry, Charlie. Sorry, I'm not. Does it say it's my birthday on here? Like, how does everyone know? Israel, bachelor. He's a fancy car. So what? It could be your mommy's car. Okay, let's see. Telegram. I don't know what this guy is. Okay. Not that guy. That guy basically doesn't care for his kids. You know? I can't be with the guy who doesn't care for his kids. Okay. New messages. You want to see my profile? Hi, Sargon of Akkad. That lasted 85 years. I married at 20. No kids, but if I would have stayed in that for the rest of my life, I would have offed myself. Well, obviously, you guys weren't respectful to each other, and you guys weren't a match, right? It's supposed to be kosher because it's supposed to be, like, religious, right? Hi, Sargon of Akkad. Happy birthday, then. May Hashem give you a good day. A good guy who to live happily ever. Thank you, Sargon of Akkad. Yeah, it's my birthday. It's been the most miserable day yet of the year. It's been the most miserable day of the year, I tell ya. Who's this guy? Why does he stand like that? Oh. Oh, he looks nice here. Does he look nice or he looks crazy? Tell me, what do you think of this guy? How old is he? 41. Religious. Blessed is the man who trusts in God, and God is his trust. He's looking for marriage. Caring, he's looking for somebody. Hi, Liron. Hi, Liron. I'm like afraid of these guys, you know, like they're all like freaky. Let your freak flag fly. They're letting their freak flag fly. You wanna see my profile? Okay. Here's my profile. One picture. Oh. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Traditional 35. I'm looking for a gentleman with manners who's romantic and humble, who has ambition. I have many hobbies and looking to meet a good man to share my life with. It's hard for me to understand this website. Looking for a kind, humble man who doesn't wear tight pants. That's my thing. So, I don't know who this guy is. These people send me messages. X. Oh, everybody's there. Okay, so let's see any new messages here. New messages. New views. Here's the views. Divorced, bachelor, Shimon. Oh, I don't know. I feel like they're all like, they probably all have like mental problems and stuff. Like, I'm so scared to date again. Liron said something. This guy sent me a message. Mayor. I'll show you who's on my Instagram, right? So this guy is penitent bachelor. He's 46. No kids. You know, like sensitive and happy with a good heart. Serious relationship, marriage. Doing good and enjoying life. Hey, how's it going? Oh, yeah. I'm scared. I'm really scared of these people, I'm telling you. Wow, I've been roasted bad. I've been roasted bad by these men, I tell you. See what he says. Okay. I don't know, I don't think I can do this. I just don't think I can. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's see who smiled at me like a creep. Who wants to see? How come you don't care about men's personalities and you don't care about what man has in his heart? You just worry about whether his pants are tight or not. LOL. Because I'll tell you why. Mayor for mayor. Not baggy pants, just not tight pants. Because a man who wears tight pants has problems. You know, like men who wear tight pants have problems in their head because they're like, why are they wearing tight pants? Women wear tight pants. Men don't wear tight pants. It's not masculine to wear tight pants. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't deal with men who wear tight pants. You know? Like, it just doesn't sit right with me. I like men who wear, like, let's see who smiled at me like a creep. Yeah. Okay, Shmirchik smiled at me like a creep. Benjamin and Ariel. They all smiled at me like a creep. Okay, so now let's go to Instagram. I can show you my messages with who I'm talking to, right? Okay. Real men protect women. Ray Posner, the Rebbe, would be disappointed. The leader would be disappointed. This girl, she's good. Okay, there's a lot of how do you say? There's a lot of politics that go on in every community. There's always gonna be politics. Do you know what I'm saying? So the Jewish community is no different. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, let's go to my other account. Let's go talk to the men, shall we? Are you from Jerusalem? Okay, let's go show you who I'm talking to. It's okay, I'm single. I work in engineer and economist. Hi. That's so cool. So, how old are you? How old are you? I don't live. Yeah, I live in Jerusalem. I live in Jerusalem. Okay. This guy sent me a message. Right, so there's this guy. See he looks scary. He looks mean. He looks mean. Doesn't he look scary, guys? What do you guys think? He looks scary, right? Okay, so you like baggy pants or sweatpants? Ew. That has to be good fit. Yeah, tight pants make men impotent, just like bicycle riding, bathing in hot water. Exactly. Okay, going back to the conversation, right? So, I don't know how this guy is. What's this guy looking for? Does he look like he could beat somebody up? Like, he's gonna beat me up? Like, I'm scared. I'm scared. 52. Oh my god. He's too old. Oh man. I'm 35. 35. You're a bit older than me. You're a bit older than me. But I really appreciate you. Appreciate you reaching out. I'm sorry, like, okay, then there's this guy, Yehuda. I like the name Yehuda. It's like Yehuda, Judah. We're from Judea. And this is him. He's masculine enough. He does masculine things. Oh, there's no noise. He has 2 kids. He sent me a message, but now he's a builder. And is he wearing tight pants? Okay, if he's wearing tight pants, it's a no-no. Hold up. Is that tight pants? So he... Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do ya, do ya, do ya? Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do ya, do ya, do ya? Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do ya, do... Oh, that's him. That's him. Maybe that's him like 10 years ago. Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do ya, do ya, do ya? Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do ya, do ya, do ya? So he makes stuff. Very nice. That's him? I'm depressed. Aw. That's him. It's depressing. Monkey? Oh, I'm gonna cry because it's just too much. Oh, he's not my type. Okay, it's nice that he doesn't wear tight pants, but I told you I'm not interested. He's too old. 52? The guy's old and he looks scary. Yes, are you single? What's your occupation? It's 52. I'm sorry, you're too old. This guy, he thinks that he thinks he owns me, this guy, you know? I had a conversation with him once. All of a sudden he thinks he's, you know, get lost, you know? Like, who do you think you are? Do you know what I mean? Like, let's go to Shlishit. Shishkanidin. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Yeah, it's very scary, like your ex is stalker. I'm scared, you guys. Daddy, yeah, it's very scary, like your ex. Maybe she has a little bit of a circus fetish since she likes the baggy clown pants. Let's see if he's doing masculine things or if it's just arts. He does masculine things. I personally think you might find a better match if you maybe reached out to several women on that site. Really? I should date women? New messages. See new messages. Mayor said hi. Oh man, I can't do this. I feel like each and every one of these people probably like forget it. I'm done with that. I'm done. I'm telling you. But I think my picture I put there is nice, right? Back to the gods, shall we? We're not finished with the gods. The god named, what's his name? You know, it goes on and on, you know? There's Enuma Elish god, there's Babylonia, there's Isagila, the ancient temple, and you know, like, so, excuse me, this is Marduk, right? And find a nice blue-eyed blonde goy guy. Sargon of Akkad is blonde hair and blue eyes, and he's a goy. I can always go for him. Right? The problem is he lives far away and he's not Jewish. Right? I don't know. Right? Okay. Yeah, I think I'm tired, you guys. I think that I'm tired. I outdid myself here. I tried my best to learn, literally. I tried my best to learn about the gods today. But it seems that my energy is escaping me. Right? It's just been too much. And the guy's 52. I'm sorry. It's too old for me. You know, what's my occupation? Why do you care? You know, like, you're too old for me. You know, like, get lost. You know, it's just depressing. Right, okay, anyway, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. It's been real. Oh, what do you think of my painting? Sarganavaka, if you're still there, or whoever else. I did a painting today off a camera. Anybody like it or not really? Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do you ya? Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do you ya? See? You like it? Time to say goodbye. Nice colors, yeah. But does that look like water? I tried to make it look like water. See, Raspberry likes when I sing. She came out of her little dog house and she's being so nice. Earlier today, basically, I gave her the... Earlier today, basically what happened was I gave her the... I have this dairy creamer that I use for coffee, and I had finished it, so basically I gave it her the box so she can like play with it and open it and eat the inside, because that's what dogs like to do. But I felt so flattered that you said, Miss Hanny. But you said, yeah, you're blonde hair, blue eyes. You seem like a nice guy, but you're not Jewish. Yeah, so basically what happened was I gave her the thing, right? Let's see how I brush her. Let's see how I brush her. I can show you how I brush her. Basically, yeah. What do you do, Sarganavaka? Just curious. I have to see if you're worth it. I'm joking. I still would like to know what you do. Do you work? If you have a job, maybe I'll consider it. I don't know. Anyway, so fly you here to live here in Israel. I'll fly you here to live in Israel as my partner. Joking. I'm joking. Not joking. I am. This is how I brush Raspberry. So basically, what happened was I gave her the box, right? She took it into the doghouse. Every joke has a little truth. Exactly. So I put her in the... She went to the doghouse. She took the treasure to the doghouse. The box of dairy creamer. And then I wanted to take her outside for a walk. So I stick my hand into her doghouse to take her, to get her out so that I can... Because she's so busy with her box, with the dairy. So... She bit me. She started growling at me and she bit me. On my birthday. Not nice, Raspberry. I got so upset. I was so upset. I screamed at her. I got so upset. I screamed at her and I said, "You don't do that. You don't scream at me on my birthday." Right? Right, so this is how I brush her, so that she doesn't have any of those, because I take her outside, and then what happens is that there's a lot of, like, straggly stuff, you know, like, there's a lot of straggly stuff outside, like pricks and stuff, and they get in her paws, and, you know, like, in the brush, she goes into the bush, and then she gets all full of, like, because in Israel, in the summer, there's no rain, so everything dries up and it turns into like prickly stuff, right? She did not really bite me. She kind of did, I think. I think she bit me here. Maybe that's for something else. She kind of bit me. she got angry at me. She was vicious. She acted like such a bitch, you know, and so I yelled at her, and then I took her outside. But then we already got off on a bad start. So then, you know, with the leash, I take her out. It's a long leash, right? So there's this dog that comes up, and she knows the dog, but she always attacks. She doesn't attack the dog, but sometimes she goes and like attacks first and then plays with them. So she ran up to the dog and she started like acting crazy, you know, like going to war, you know, like, you know, jumping on the dog and growling, you know. So I was like, oh my god, okay. So I started pulling her back, and the guy's like, excuse me, can you please take your dog away? He said it like with such an attitude. And I got so upset. It was just like a bad day with the bed this morning. It was just truly, you know, I said I'm sorry, you know. He's just like such an attitude, you know, like so unfriendly. I guess because Raspberry attacked his dog, but she's tiny. She's tiny. She's tiny, you know? She just tweaked me. If she had really bitten you, you would bleed, I think. Yeah? I don't know if she's that strong. I don't know if she has, you know, like... I was like, you know, and then the girl in the park today, she said to me that when her dog was a puppy, her dog used to growl at her. So what she did was she took it by the neck, right? She took the dog by the neck, by the scruff of his neck, and she would hold him down on the ground until he stopped. And she'd say, you don't do that. Stop. And then the dog learns that she's the boss. You know? Maybe that's what I have to do with Raspberry, like take her by her neck and... I can't do that. She's too small. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a yid. Yes, Randy, I'm a yid. Yudin. I'm a Jew. I'm a yid. That's right, Randy. And I'm proud. You know? I'm a Jew and I'm proud. I'm a yid. I'm a yidin. I'm a yudin. I'm a Jew. You know? I'm a kike, I'm a kickle, I'm a big nose. And I'm proud. Big nose and proud. Big nose and proud. Raspberry is Israeli. She is Jewish, because I mean, animals can't be Jewish, but she's definitely not kosher, because she's not considered a kosher animal. Right, Raspberry? This is how I brush her. Brush your ears, I brush your face, I brush your other ear. Then what I do is I take her and I put her on this side. Then what I do is I brush her leg again to make sure, and then I brush here. She doesn't like it when I brush there. See, she doesn't like it, and then I brush here, and then I go like this, and I go like this, and I brush her. Yeah, brush the doggy. Brush the doggy. See? And then she's fully brushed, and okay, so Raspberry, she's not Jewish because she's a dog, but I consider her Jewish. She's Israeli, definitely Israeli. She's born here in Israel, born and made in Israel. She definitely has Israeli attitude. Hi, Sam Gloves. Yevreka. I don't know what that means. She has Israeli attitude. She barks at everybody. She thinks she's the alpha. You need to roll it on its side and hold it sideways for several minutes. Test if you can take her food away when eating. If not, you need to fix it. Yeah. She barks at me when I eat. She barks at me. Like, when I eat food, she barks at me as if I need to give her my food. Such a bad doggy. Such a bad dog. Such a bad dog. You're so bad. You have attitude? You have attitude problems. You bark at me. And then also when I'm on the bed, she comes on my bed. And if I move my legs, she'll start growling at me. And she'll even bite my legs. You know? I'm scared of this bitch. You need to... But then she's so nice. You see that she goes like this. Then she gives me her paw. The place you're at, what gloves do you have? I don't have any gloves. Yeah, so she thinks she's the alpha, right? So the thing is that, like, she controls me. You see? And then she's so nice, but then she could be such a bitch. Like at night, she's on my bed and she thinks it's her bed. Like she thinks that she owns the bed and then she growls at me. You know? Raspberry is a lap dog, not a fighting dog, right? If she was bigger, then I would have a problem because then I really can't control her because she would control me all the way. Like I would be her slave. She looks at me, she thinks that I'm her slave. She bosses me around. She demands my food. She demands my bed. She demands... If she were bigger, I wouldn't be able to control her. That's why I have a small dog that I can hold. Small dog. No, but if she were bigger, then I would definitely have a problem because then she's gonna be dangerous. She's gonna start barking at me and she's gonna start biting me. She'll even start, I don't know, she'll start telling me what to do. She'll boss me around. She will... You stink. You stink. You know, like... No, Raspberry, you're not going anywhere. You're staying here because I said... Do you understand? I said. See, but then she puts her head down, and then I feel bad for her because she's being so humble, you know, she's being so... So I don't understand. Dogs are pack animals. Mine was like that once I was alpha. She listened, and it's a perfect dog now. She's a perfect dog. Some people are not able to their couch anymore because it's occupied by a big aggressive dog who's alpha. Exactly, so... No, because I'm scared of her. She's scary. She goes and she says... She controls me. She barks at me. I'm very sensitive. I get very hurt. I say, Raspberry, why are you barking at me? That's not nice. That's not nice, Raspberry. That's not nice. My mom and my older brother just got into a car crash. Oh my god, seriously? Why? Dogs need discipline too. Mama dog's discipline. There are lots of videos explaining it. She thinks she's alpha and that's a bad sign. I know, but next time she does alpha things, next time I'm on my bed and she decides to growl at me, maybe I'm going to do what the girl says. I'm going to take her by her neck and I'm going to go like this and hold her down. And I'll say, no, Raspberry. I'll take her by the scruff of her neck and I'm going to hold her down. And I'm going to say, no, Raspberry, no. I'm going to say, no, Raspberry, no, no. I bet she pulls the leash too. Yeah, she will poop and pee to mark her area too. It's not healthy. She only poops and pees in the bathroom because I don't have a porch. So she goes there when she needs. All the main dogs I met had owners that didn't walk them enough. I walk her twice a day and I go like an hour at a time. So she walks an hour at a time. It's just a baby. It's just a baby. I love just a baby. My best friend died in a car crash a few weeks ago. Hope they're all good. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Time to say goodbye. Isn't she cute? Yeah, so then what happens is when I go in my bed, she decides that it's her bed, and she decides she can bark at me, and then I usually scream at her, and then she calms down. But it's unpleasant because in the middle of the night I'm afraid to move. So scary. Right? She's scaring me. I'm so scared. Raspberry, I'm scared. Raspberry, I'm scared. Raspberry, I'm scared. You can't scream at me, Raspberry, because you're scaring me. You understand? Let's go open the door for Amber. It's just a baby. It's just a baby. And then I hold her like a baby. I hold her like a baby like this. See? I hold her like a baby, and she's so cute, right? Oh, and he's the man of the house. She's the bitch. She's the bitch of the house, and he's the man of the house. So he's the male. He's also very dominant. He sprays everywhere. He pees everywhere. What? And he demands affection and attention. He knows not to like climb on me because it hurts. Because I cry out every time, right? I had a dachshund as a kid. It nipped at a lot and was addicted to food. Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do you do ya? Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do you do you? Shalom to you, Yehuda. How do you do ya? Shalom to you, Yehuda. Say hello, everybody. My name is Raspberry, and I terrorize my owner. I terrorize my owner. I bark at her. I growl at her. I even bite her sometimes. Right. And I go, ruff, ruff, ruff. Let's select raspberry. We'll start with raspberry, yes. And then, oh, who likes my painting? Anyone? And then some cake and tea. Order what you will, there be no bill. It's complimentary. Oh, it's a jolly holiday with you, Raspberry. Raspberry makes your dreams come true. When your day is gray and ordinary, Raspberry makes your dreams come true. Oh, happiness is blooming all around her. The daffodil is... Raspberry, what was that? See how she goes, rah? You see how she growls? It's so scary. The daffodil is smiling at the dove. A lady needn't fear when you are near. Your sweet gentility is crystal clear. Oh, it's a jolly holiday with you, Amber. A jolly, jolly holiday with you. You like the colors. Thank you. You don't have to like it. You can criticize it and say, oh, I don't like it. It's not professional enough. It's not pretty enough. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. No wonder that it's Amber that we love. A lady needn't fear when he is near. His sweet gentility is crystal clear. Oh, it's a jolly holiday with you, Amber. A jolly, jolly holiday with you. Yes, Amber. Yes. Such a nice cat. Who loves this tiger? Yes. You know what he likes? He likes when I go like this. See? See, I'm brushing his chin. He's the perfect male. If I could find a man like him, he's the perfect man in the world. He hunts, he's strong, he's kind, he's gentle, and a lady needn't fear when he is near, because he's the perfect mix of rough and good. Rough and gentle. Sometimes he scratches, but he doesn't mean it, you know, so I forgive him. Sometimes he scratches me, like with his nails, like what he's doing now, but he doesn't mean it, because, see, like, okay, okay, now he's getting a little bit crazy, okay. Okay, Amber, you're getting out. Okay, his nails. Okay, okay, you see, now he gets a little crazy because he wants me to pet him, but now he's losing it. Ow, You don't need to bite. You don't need to bite. Raspberry! You need to behave yourself. You don't. You know, like, she's Raspberry's. I love you. Oi, you. Who sees Raspberry? You see Raspberry? Hold on. Raspberry. She's looking, she's watching. Ooh, Raspberry. Amber. He is a hunter. He can get you birds. He can get you fish. He can get you lizards. He can get you bugs. He can get you all the animals that you want. He can get it for you. Right. Anyways. I'm gonna go now. It's been real. Thanks for being here with me, and I need to go to sleep because I'm tired, and it's really late here. And I'm really tired somehow. I shouldn't be tired, but I am. It's like 12:30, 12:22, and I need to just go to sleep and he's shedding a lot. This guy is shedding. He's shedding a lot. See all those hairs coming out of him. Raspberry's on alert. Yes. I'm gonna go to sleep, and you're not going to scream at me. You're not going to bark at me. You're not going to bark at Raspberry. See, she's Raspberry. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna put my bed out. I'm gonna go to sleep, and you're not going to bark at me. You're not allowed. Do you understand? You're not allowed to bark at me. I love you, but you can't bite me, growl at me, or bark at me. 'Cause I'm the boss of this house. I don't think she understands what I'm saying. She doesn't, she doesn't understand what I'm saying. What is... Why are you looking at me that way? I can't discipline, you know? Anyway. Yeah. I didn't finish off with the gods. I did not finish off with the gods. You see the gods? I didn't finish off what I wanted to say about the gods, but maybe I'll talk about other gods tomorrow, or maybe I'll even come on in the middle of the night, because I'm tired. I'm not tired. I am tired. I'm not sure what I am, so... Bye. She looked like she understood. Yeah? You think she understands? I don't know what to think about her. Look at her. She's... Raspberry. Do you understand? You can't bite me. You can't bite. You can't do any of that stuff. You have to. And there's Amber. See, I leave food out for them. Always. He's very thirsty. You can't bite me and you can't... Like, what is this? Is this animal? Is this like an animal world? Like, what do we live in? Like, wait, who do you think you are? You think you're an animal or something? Like, where were you brought up? Who brought you up? Like, were you born in a barn? Like, what do you think you are? An animal? You're not an animal. You are an animal. Okay. Bye. Happy birthday. Thank you, ABC Kirja. Thank you very much. It's been a horrible birthday, but thank you very much anyway. Have a great day.